What's up, and welcome back to the channel. You're listening to Ninja Night. This is Chatterbox number 24. 24 episodes of this. Have absolutely enjoyed it, each and every one, and I'm bringing another one to you this evening. Now, before we start off, obviously you have seen what has happened to Philip's channel, so we'll be talking about that tonight, and we'll be deepening an understanding for an awful lot of people out there as to what's going on and how things are moving in this informational sphere. Before I start, obviously, what I want to say is it's imperative, very important, and he's already done so anyway. He's on Odysee, he's on BitChute, and I'm sure he's going to go on to Rumble as well too very soon. It's very important to set up in other places because this current place isn't, as I would always say, to be counted on, and it isn't something to be trusted. Now, I'm going to give you a quote later on that comes from Game of Thrones that summarizes how I feel about the situation, and I think how most people feel about the situation. As it stood, Philip's last video had over 40,000 views. Over 40,000 views of a video that was waking an awful lot of people up. Now, to me, obviously, when it comes to these things, I'll always give Philip a shout out, which is imperative because he has done amazing work for Ireland, and this is a guy that's gone out and has decided to do that himself, and he's inspired many other people, myself included. And to see that channel be taken away is absolutely scandalous. I will also say as well, says things as they are. So, as I've said, in this new digital age that we find ourselves in, you do have to box a little bit of cleverness, and you have to, I would say, Commander Cody these things, if you know what I'm saying here. And that is America's to what is going on here in the social media world, and particularly in the online world. It is going to get more outrageous as things go on. You can see what they're doing in Canada, for example, and Ireland likes to do the very same thing. However, there has been some very good news this week, which I'm going to touch on as well this evening, and you can see many things be pushed back upon. Obviously, I've reached out to Philip as well, and I've said to him like who to contact. There's a particular guy that's on YouTube. He's called Redefining Law. He has specialized in reinstating channels as well, so I'm sure he'll get in touch with him and see what the story is there. Bigger things that have been going on in the wider circle of things is the big pushback that's gone on with certain books, and this shrieking that you're seeing as well, particularly online from the left, about libraries and swords in particular, and how the Gardaí were outside and people were inside, people that they didn't like, and they have no opinions being shared with these people at all. Of course, as well too, we have Paul Murphy's of the world totally upset about people being able to go into a library and say, hang on here, this is banging out of order. You've got a couple of weirdos that are out there and a couple of counsellors as well that are looking to call meetings really quickly because they're very unhappy with how the Gardaí have responded to this one. So, as I always like to say, I'm someone that's pro law and order. You know that. You know that I want to see the Gardaí doing a good job. You know that I want to see them doing the best that they can and bringing people to justice 100%. And I think it's an interesting time now where you're starting to see the left become panicked because they have overstepped the mark. They have been given inches, but they have taken miles. And they have revealed themselves to be what they are. Now, my question is always this. How long is it going to be until the Gardaí decide to say, yeah, no more of that now. We've had enough of this. They're seeing people going into court nearly on weekly basis now. And they're also seeing a certain judge that there's a massive call for the resignation of that judge. To be honest with you, if I was running the country, he'd be investigated now. He'd also be removed from his position now. And this is the thing. You're seeing this guy that's widely been shared amongst people, and I think it's important that people do that, and I'm going to explain why now in a moment. And you're seeing this guy get cases in front of him, give ridiculous sentences, and sometimes no sentence at all. I know people would say, well, a suspended sentence is still a sentence. Yeah, it's not at all, because nobody's doing any time for the crime that they've been up to. And he's letting certain people off. Now, what I think should be happening, and it's something that I've seen an awful lot of people in America have talked about over the last week or so, is, and it pertains as well to this library situation, people have picked a specific item or place or individual, and what they've decided to do is they have decided to talk consistently and constantly about that, and I think that that's very effective. I think that that's effective because instead of what they are currently doing now, which is there's, as I've said to you before, multiple issues, multiple spinning plates out there. If you focus on one of them at a time and systematically go through them, I think that that's going to reap a lot of results. I think it's very important. Now, we're also seeing that as well, too, and I'm seeing it in America, for example, where people are starting to look at specific topics like this Dylan character. That's a fella that is a former actor. Some would even say he is a current actor that's out there and is talking about 365 days of being a woman. He's now got his face on the Bud Light cans, and people are starting to focus on honing on him. And I think that that's important because these are the type of people that are they're after bid and fight to the White House. So anyway, what I would say is honing in on these things and putting pressure on it is very important. And specifically when it comes to this library thing is going to be interesting going forward. Now, you've seen all of the same type of nonsense and rhetoric coming from the left constantly as well, which is, oh my God, guys, I can't believe that you guys are in there and you're deciding to burn books. No. That's got nothing to do with anything here. What people are saying is this is not age appropriate and children shouldn't be learning about the things that are being said in this book. Have you seen what's inside this book? I would, if you're a over 18 individual, if you're an over 18 adult, I would humbly suggest that you might have a look at what's been said in these type of things. And these are the things that they're trying to aim towards children. So where it starts is this. It starts with the book. It starts with the library. And it's going to move on then. It's going to move on to, well, who sanctioned this? Who's standing over this? Who is pushing this? And people are going to start going through that now. And I think what's very interesting to find from that as a result is people are starting to figure out who is pushing these things. I have a very funny feeling, especially when you see the Minister for Children, Roderick O'Gorman, a man who is gay, who has no children. What a strange thing to do. I mean, it's like a Liverpool supporter being in charge of Manchester United. Oh, wait, that's what Richard Arnold is. That's very strange, isn't it? Anyway, I digress. What I'm talking about is how can you have a person like that in a position like they are? Catherine Zepone was there beforehand, a very similar character, obviously, and one not of this nation, as you know. And this is a person and people that have pushed through mental stuff. And only now, which I think is important, people have started to say, oh, hang on here now, we need to kick back against this because it's all out with what you guys want to be doing. And I fully agree with you. I fully and humbly suggest that that is the way things should go going forward. People are starting to look at videos like from Gript when a very specific question is asked to Leo Varadkar and Roderick O'Gorman is there, and you can see Roderick O'Gorman's eyes searing into the back of the head of Leo Varadkar. It's very strange. As I said before, that's a very strange image to see a fellow who's in the Green Party who are only basically hanger-ons, as I would call them, that are working around government now just because they were the only ones that were useful idiots, really. And he's looking at Varadkar like that. I think that's quite strange. Anyway, we'll jump into the chat and we'll say hello. Hope all's well with you this evening. It's a good Friday. Just letting you know, obviously as well too, I mean that insofar as, you know, massive respect to our Lord and Saviour. And quite clearly, I hope you've had a good Friday. And indeed, it's something that we should remember constantly and consistently as well, because these are people also at the same time as people saying, no, we're not into these books shouldn't be allowed. They're deciding to try and use Christianity. So anti-Christians is what we're looking at here. Anti-Irish, anti-Christians, anti-white, anti-cis. Throw whatever sort of verbiage they've been throwing at you for the last number of years and turn it back on them and say, that's the way it is there. I've seen someone ask Paul Murphy a specific question. Asked him, would he denounce, what was that Star Wars character's name? Greedo. Yeah, you know what I mean? Greedos. And he was like, I denounced them. And then he went, no, I denounced them. Okay, this is the guy, by the way, who wants to talk to you and say to you that your children should learn about these things, who doesn't even know if his own child is a boy or a girl. We're going to just refer to it as an it, and we're calling Juniper a boy. What? This is a fella that people are looking at and going, what's the story here? Who is taking these people seriously? And it's like this. People before profit as well as a whole have completely went mask off over the last few years. It beggars belief as to who is supporting them, really. And you've also seen a video this evening that was posted by Derek Bloig on his Instagram, and I'm pretty sure, now effectively allegedly that it's Toby. Toby does be in here in the chat and he's on Twitter, does a great job. And he's asking a Sinn Féin guy who's putting posters up if he supports open borders. This is just as an aside. And your man's like, oh, no borders at all. So they're all in it together, just so you know. We'll be going through that tonight, showing you some of the nonsense that was done within 24 hours after the Kelly Harrington thing. I thought that was hilarious because I was just like, this is clearly what they're doing. They're trying to take people's attention off it. But anyway, let's jump into the chat and say hello. Just letting you know as well, there'll be no stream next Friday. I'll be back the Friday after next. And I'm going to put a video up and let people know about that. And obviously as well too, I'm hoping to drop more videos during the week. Thanks to everybody that likes, shares, and subscribes. By the way, it's super important. Thanks to everybody that supports. Links in the description down below. And also as well too, a huge thanks to the people that are the members of this channel. And a huge, huge thanks to the moderators in this channel. It's absolutely outstanding what they do, and I can't really thank you enough for what you do. Also, last week's stream, 3,500 views it's sitting at right now. That's a steady increase. That's a good thing to see, and I'm very happy with that. I saw an article during the week. I know I said I jump into the chat, but I'm just kind of rambling here. I saw an article during the week that was like, where do people get their news from? And of course, they had the Bauer-owned media stations. Bauer, yeah, that's the German company, isn't it? Yeah, if you have a look at their website, they'll tell you who they own. By the way, we'll do a video on that. Don't worry about that. But anyway, they had all of these different outlets. Oh, who do you watch and all that? And then there was like other. And I was like, listen, I'm getting more views than some of these stations on YouTube. It's embarrassing. Isn't that embarrassing when you're the state broadcaster and this clown show channel is out to get more views than you? Now, here's the thing. That's why they don't like the likes of Philip. They don't like Philip. They don't like Satirical Soldier. They don't like the Irish Inquiry. They don't like Dan's Mixtape. They don't like the Irish Git. They don't like Derek Blythe. They don't like any of these people. The reason why is because people are hungry for authentic stuff that's been going on here in this country and pointing it out from authentic people. You know this nonsense that you see from RTA all the time? We're going to talk about the weather and we have no accent. It's not discernible other than this kind of offset British accent that we're all putting on. Like, what? Why do you think that there's a big drive towards people that have their own accents? Like, look at Philip, look at Derek, look at Satirical Soldier, look at the Irish Inquiry. These are all people that speak with their own accents, and people are like, yeah, no, I'm a fan of that, because real recognizes real, and you recognize when something's authentic, and you recognize when something is inauthentic. And for years, and I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it again and again and again, you have had people, older people than I, that have been listening to this nonsense for decades, and some of them are still in the matrix that never get out, and even though you're giving them the opportunity to take the red one, they still want to take the blue one. They still want to stay asleep and be plugged in. But generations after that, not so much. A lot of people are saying, no, hang on here now. I'm only here 10, 15, 20, 30 years listening to these things that are on the news. I actually want to know what's really going on here. And these people are happy to unplug far quicker. And I think that that's a big problem for these people. And I think what you've seen as well when it pertains to this library situation, it's very interesting because, as I said before, I don't think the Gardaí can last much longer with what they're currently seeing. Now, we'll be talking about them as well, too, as a whole this evening, because, oh boy, they are starting to ramp up some certain talking points around the Gardaí, and yikes, boys. It seems like the conspiracy theorists were right again. We're not conspiracy theorists, we're just spoiler alerters. So anyway, jump into the chat here. We have Irish Red. We've got 112 watching here tonight. Thanks very much. 115's bumped into now. Thanks very much. I know I'm a bit later this evening, usually at 7:30 Irish time. I had to push it out to 8 o'clock. Had a bit of a calamity go on this evening with the technology. So the technology, it's listening to me right now. So with a bit of luck, it'll stay that way. So we'll keep going. Irish Red's in here. It says, Ninja, happy Easter to you and your family, Pat. Thanks very much. Very much so. Same to you. Happy Easter to everybody, indeed, except the lefties. No blessings or good wishes towards them. You know, that's how it is with me. So, Satirical Soldier, delighted you're on tonight, Ninja. Sharing the link below. Much appreciated, man. Very much so appreciated. Triple H in here says, how's everyone? Occidental Advocacy says, happy Easter weekend to all my fellow Gaels and all nationalists and patriots. Frank Barron says, talks about Philip and his channel. I think there's a way to redress this via Twitter, but I've no desire to have an account on Twitter. Yeah, that's another thing as well, too. You can publicly at them on Twitter and be like, what's the story? But it's up to Philip in what he wants to do there, of course, you know. Arch Joseph O'Grave, this says, Bill and a boss. Triple H says, I don't know who is more crazy, the sickos in charge for us or pity to put up with it. I'm not quite sure what you mean there. Fergus Power says, Ninja Night, all right, brother, and all you beautiful patriots. Chat's just skipped on me there. Hang on, give me a second there, Fergus. Have a blessed weekend. Been looking forward to this. Great work was done yesterday in Swords. Off to Colin Barracks tomorrow with other Patriots. Fergus is another guy that's doing great work. I mean, if you've recognised Ferg beforehand from the Enoch Burke protest, I mean, I had to give it to Ferg. Like, you know, hail, rain, and snow. That man stood out there outside Mount Joy. It was very impressive to see that, because the Enoch Borg thing as well too isn't going away. That's rattling on now still. And as I said last week, Enoch put out an 8-minute video on his Twitter account. I'm sure his Twitter account has seen a great increase in followers as well. Has anyone else seen that video as well that came out? Ironically, Fabu D playing some gig, and he was like, who's Enoch? And the whole place was like, hey, Enoch Borg, all the lads. It's a shifting point in history, I think. Now a lot of people have had enough of this soy stuff, and they've decided, nah, I'm into the want to get back to masculinity here, guys. Art Joseph says, I was wondering why I hadn't seen Philip in a while. He had some grit face now in the army, like that. Absolutely, 100%. Raul Kelly's in here, says, good man, Ninja. The thing about this. The army as a whole probably don't think the same way that your man Duggan does. Do you know what I mean? But the point of the matter is that nobody is coming out and being like, hang on here for a sec. Now, I know that someone will say, oh, well, there's rules and regulations there. 100% agree, but it's all right for some and not others. And listen, if everybody took the one opinion, and if the large majority agreed that they'd be struggling to fill the ranks. Now, does that factor into what I'm talking about? Absolutely, because they're going to try and fill the ranks with other people from other countries. They've made that clear as such, and really quickly they've made that clear. We've got 5 in here that says, Graham just sends 5 to say that. Make sure you always say something, honestly. Triple H says, especially with the price of beer and food, can't go to the pub and socialise like other Easters, remember? Well, that's it. This is the thing that's going on. I've seen Paul Trevard there on Twitter during the week, and he was talking about how, I think I have the tweet anyway up here this evening, but I'm going to just give a brief summary of it, talking about how restaurants are going out of business, and he's like, yeah, things are too expensive now. I'm watching another guy as well. He's from America. He's called Uncle Tim is his name. He's a black guy, absolutely hilarious. And he talks about action figures and stuff like that. Obviously, you know him into that. What was it? Derek McManus last week was like, it's collectibles. Just call it collectibles. I'm like, okay, I'll go with that. So he's talking about these things, and he's talking about McDonald's over in America, and he's like, I live in Chicago. He says, I used to go to McDonald's. It was $10. It's $30 now for 2 people. He's like, what's this about? Now, he's wide awake, this guy. This guy knows exactly what's going on, but he's kind of like, it seems to me like he's a couple of months behind where we're at. He started going, this is weird. And we're like, no, we know where it's going here next. I mean, when it comes to collectibles and stuff like that, they're trying to bring in NFTs, digital versions of these things. You know, they're looking to downsize these things all the time. Anyway, that's a talking point, I suppose, for another day. Talking about beer and food, they're increasing to a level that's just unaffordable. And I mean, if you're someone out there that's struggling from day to day, it's shocking stuff. And I've said this before, and a lot of people around me feel the same. These Tesco club card prices, I keep saying to people all the time, and I'm saying they're absolutely wrong, because you used to be able to go into Tesco, and Tesco was a competitor for the likes of Dunnes Stores and the likes of Lidl's and Aldi's and all these places. And you have to have a fixed amount to use the club card, okay? Whereas beforehand, it used to be competition, and that was the important thing. Now, obviously, as well, when it comes to like the Dunnes Stores doesn't operate like that at this moment in time. However, do I think that they're going to go that way? Possibly. But if you haven't got a fixed about, so if you're homeless as such, and you're going in there and you're looking for a club card deal, for example, you know, maybe on chocolate or whatever keeps these people going, you know, poor and fortunate people. I feel very poor for people that are alcoholics in particular, because I think it's a very terrible affliction, and I think it's something that's, you know, as I said before, it's something I feel very strongly about. And the price of the drink, for example, if these guys are looking to get anything, like, it's behind the paywall there of the club card. So essentially behind the paywall of a house. And a lot of these people aren't being housed. Now, just think about that for a second. There are people that are out there, whether they want to be and don't want to be, there is an argument for that too, don't forget about that. But these guys are out there on the streets, and they are looking. And there's people out there that are unhappy as well too, that are looking at this situation where people are pouring into this country and are being given a gaff or a flat, whatever it might be, after 4 months of being in here, have been put up in plushy hotels. So they're looking at that too. And they're saying, here, hang on, what's going on here? These fellas are arriving in the best of Clobber. What's the story here? And the large majority of the Irish population feel that way. They share that sentiment with, hang on here for a second. Our own people are out on the street. These people are coming into the country. They've been given money hand over fist. They're actually actively talking about on Facebook groups how they're going to leave the country to go on holidays, to then come back to the country to keep getting the cushy freebies. Hang on here for a second. So that's the beauty of the internet in one respect, because a lot of this stuff wouldn't have been known. Now, I've seen some articles that have come out there from 2005. I saw one there earlier on. Someone shared it with me. I can't remember your name. Apologies about that. But 2005 was when they done away with Irish as a requirement for the Gardaí. So that's how long this is in play. You know what I mean? Like, this is a very long time in play. And if it's been in play since 2005, you can best believe your bottom dollar has been in play before that. And I just had to look back, and I just have to keep saying it. You look back at 1916 and what ensued from there on, and you have to wonder. And again, when you look at America as well too, you have to wonder, especially what happened to Kennedy. You look at that and you go, it doesn't seem like the good guys really won there, does it? You know what I mean? That's just my own thoughts. But anyway, Oxford Navigate says, you took Philip channel down. Good. Yeah, no, we'd be elsewhere as well. We'd be talking about that this evening, obviously, as well. Let's have it. Janie's in here. It says, hey, Ninja. I was asked as well, too, by Derek and Leanne. Well, more so Derek, really. If I'm hoping not putting him on the spot here or anything like that. But he was saying to me about making new mods, and I think that that is important. So if anybody's interested in that, you know, let me know. We're going to throw on there. We're going to throw Blue Grand 1 in there. And we'll put Janie in there as well, too, obviously, as well. But if anybody else is interested in anything like that, let me know as well, because this chat does end up flying, you know what I mean? So it's appreciated, anybody that comes in and helps out. Tony Lynn says, something big coming down the pipeline, Mayday. Triple H says it was the army thing that got his accounts deleted. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on. Janie says, smash like on 14. End of the line. Joel says a lot of problems with the comments there. Listen, there's unfortunately nothing I can do about that. You know, that's this platform, man, you know. Derek Man says, remember to use at Ninja Night if you have a question or comment for our host. Bob says, happy Friday at Ninja Night and all. Paul Lynch says, protest at Google for Philip censorship, French style, Dublin 2. Is that tomorrow? Don King, rise up. Blue Ground Moon with some very astute points there in the chat. Leanne Curtis says, good evening, Ninja Night, August Cockdinner. I hope that you're all well, my dears. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, Luke is saying something interesting there. It says, take away the books as what was done in the 1930s. Big question that people don't ask is, what books were being taken away in the 1930s? And it's odd to find out that a lot of them are very similar to what's going on now. Honest to God, guys, and I mean this, I look at history a different way now after the last few years. And I look at it differently. I think I look at it differently due to the Sniffles episode that people must be held accountable for. I will always say that. But more so with the blue and yellow flag waving country, when you were seeing the Klitschko's put out post after post, day after day, of look at what's going on here, guys, look what's going on here. There isn't a tap going on. Nothing. There was actually a video that came out last week of a fella on a camera phone. And he was like, look at the telly you're saying. It's saying my city is under siege. And then he just turns the camera phone out the window and he's like, there's no such thing. There's no such thing going on. The Wi-Fi is working. You can book a hotel over there. I don't know about you, but that's really strange. Then you've got the guy that's running the country. He's a follower of a specific faith, we shall say. And then you have a look at the people that are hanging around the Azov regiment. Is that not strange? Does that not seem strange to you? Then you also see as well, and remember, from 1930s as well, the people that were left out of the country and went to the likes of America and Russia. What did they end up doing? Werner von Braun. Look into him and see what he did. See what he was doing beforehand. What about the clothing lines that are out there now? They're still in use. They're still in operation. Where did they start? What about Volkswagen? Where did that start? How did that start? But these are all still prominent things. And they're things that have been pushed in TV shows, in movies, whatever it might be. So you got to look at the history again. You have to say to yourself, I'm not sure if anything is actually after happening the way you said it did. And that was at a time, by the way, don't forget, where there was no internet. So to deceive people was far easier. They had the likes of letters, which could obviously remain confidential and private. They could have faxes or whatever like that, maybe at that point in time, maybe came later. But this ability to construe and make something up between themselves, highly possible, highly plausible now, you know. And then it's like as well too, a lot of people do point out online, they say, well, you always see the lads with the tattoos on the arms with the numbers, and you say, yeah, and it's like, well, it never seems to hit 7 numerals. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, but that would then lead you into the millions that they were talking about, you know. Oh, right. So again, like I said, it's very strange to me when you see things like that and then you see what's going on modern day. And I tell you what's happening now. I've seen, I think I was talking about him last week, Lucas Gage is his name. He's a former member of the army in the USA. And he's looking around and he's like, okay, guys, it's time to be clean here. Honest. It's like, whoa. These fellas are realizing what's going on, the con that's been had. You know, you look at it as well too. I talked about it beforehand. The Terminal List, great TV show. Have a look at that if you haven't seen it. It's produced by Amazon, which is incredible because they produce an awful lot of junk like Rings of Power and a couple of other woke TV shows. But the Terminal List is pretty solid and it kind of opens your eyes to an awful lot of what's going on. Anyway, we'll keep going. Roberto U says a lot of scary, sinister wrongdoings happening there, especially this week due to corruption of the overheads. People need to push back by taking the seats off them. Enough is enough now. Seats are an important thing to be taken in the next election. Now, here's the thing. Are you going to overturn things next time? No, it's not going to happen. It's absolutely not going to happen in the next one. And this is why you're starting to see the panic buttons be hit. People are starting to realize what's going on with Sinn Féin now. And they're starting to realize what's happening with all these leftist parties. And I mean, they're all leftists that are in the door, really, to be honest with you. But they're starting to realize that these people are all in it together. And there's a very difficult way out of this. And it's going to take time. And it's not going to be overnight. But if you accumulate seats here and there, like I said before, a strategy needs to be come up with. And people need to hold the line on that and need to move towards these positions. Because other than that, it's just nonsensical stuff that's going to be keeping going on here in this country. And at the same time, they're replacing the Irish people. They're actively doing it on advertisements. There's a great, and as I said before, a great Twitter account there on Twitter. And it's Africans and Irish adverts for some reason. And oh my God, guys, you want to see the amount of them? There's so many. It's nearly all of the advertisements now. So it's very clear and obvious to see as well. And the things that are being promoted online and in their media is very much so the same. And it's just, and it's something that was interesting to me because you might say, he's talking nonsense. I was listening, and this is why I can say these things. Mike Shinoda, if you're familiar with him, he is a prominent part of Linkin Park, the band. And he was talking recently. You can have a look at this interview yourself. And he talks about growing up, and he's half Japanese. And he was born, I think, on a military base, and he's moving around, and he's like, I don't know what my identity is. If this is a multimillionaire, that's like, I don't know what I am. So when you have people that have these ideas, and Muhammad Ali shares these same ideas, and you've got Charlemagne, this is a guy that probably some people are familiar with. This is a fella who is a prominent YouTuber. He's on something called The Breakfast Club, I think it was called, a black guy himself. Have a look at what he was talking about with Andrew Schultz there recently. He was talking about Jonathan Majors, and he was like, brothers should stay with brothers. He was like, brothers should stay with sisters. I was like, if anybody said anything different to that, like on a different wavelength, you'd be called all sorts. But your man Charlemagne, like, very interesting character insofar as is totally for the supreme of guys that look like him, you know, very clear and obvious. But of course, is brought on to different shows and is able to talk mad stuff he is. And the thing is, listen, I think he should be, because you're able to say then, okay, it's all right for you. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, isn't it? So if the same is applied elsewhere, I know Charlemagne wouldn't be happy with that. No, he wouldn't, you know. Anyway, Irish Red, Ninja Knight, it's not just the library. The filth is everywhere. We're in a massive cultural war against evil. For sure. For sure. They have decided as well, by the way, to announce more Star Wars films today. What a terrible idea. Just as an aside, because when we're talking about culture, The Mandalorian has completely fallen off. And if anybody has watched that, season 3 just seems like Jon Favreau has thrown the towel in. Now, what is Star Wars about? You might say, you're talking about entertainment now. Star Wars is ultimately about relationships between fathers and their sons. That's what The Mandalorian started off as well, as an adoptive father, obviously, of Grogu. And now they have turned it into something that is completely not reminiscent of what it was when it began. And it has destroyed it. This is the thing that's going on in all these companies, though. All of these companies are totally disinterested in promoting masculinity. And something that I thought was interesting during the week, I thought it was very strange to see the Critical Drinker post a video with Russell Crowe. I was looking at it and I was like, this is very strange. I was like, let's have a look at this. And it was like a mini interview. Well, it wasn't like a mini interview. It was a mini interview, but when I say interview, the drinker was kind of giving his opinion on certain movies that Russell Crowe had done. I think Russell Crowe obviously looked at the interview and thought that that was an interesting one because he did genuinely seem surprised at some of the things he was asked and he was able to talk about. Wasn't talking much about his own movie that's coming out now called The Pope's Exorcist. Now, that's an interesting watch now, to say the very least, I'd say, going forward. But anyway, that was interesting to see that, and he was talking about the cultural significance of what's going on now, and Russell Crowe was in agreement with him. But the thing is, you can see the PR spin having to be done by Russell Crowe to be like, yeah, things aren't how they were. I mean, the deconstruction of the likes of Luke Skywalker and various other characters, you got to look at it and you got to say to yourself, what's that really about? We all know what it's about. That's why Cobra Kai is so successful, because it has two masculine characters in it, particularly in Danny, and it has it in Johnny. And these are two characters that are really well liked. And then you've got the sensei Kreese, you have him, and you've got Terry Silver as well. These are all varieties of different people, but they also have qualities and attributes that, whilst you might look at them as being villainous, they're very specific people, and it's interesting to see. Now, obviously, a big fan of Johnny Lawrence myself anyway. I think Johnny's great. But you see these guys are successful with that. You see Top Gun Maverick was successful. Why is that? Because it's a masculine character. Look at, for example, what's happened with the John Wick movies. The series has just grown in popularity and increased in money. Why? Because it's a masculine series, and it includes women too, but it includes them in a correct way. Like the Halle Berry character, for example, and I think it was the third one that she was in, and she has the dogs. So it's just like, well, we're giving you an ability to use something here. The newest one is excellent. I would highly recommend you go and see the new one. It's absolutely fantastic. Donnie Yen is incredible in it. I really like Donnie Yen. I think he got the short end of the stick, which is ironic because he's a blind character in that, and he was a blind character in this movie. But he was awesome in this, and this is something that I think going forward, a lot of people are starting to look at that and they say, like, that's how a movie should be, and that's how they should look now. It's absolutely awesome. And I would highly suggest you go and see those movies, because I see an awful lot of people here on YouTube that talk about, Star Wars is this and that. And whilst you can do a review of it, and I will and do, the point of the matter is, I see some people, some of the prominent people, that are going out and paying for it. Stop paying for these things. Pay for things like Maverick and John Wick. Listen, you do whatever you want with your money, but I'm just saying, you might as well fund something that's interesting and good rather than something that's not, So anyway, we'll jump into this here this evening. You've got Aoife here with the weirdo flags as well too, of course, with the blue check mark. Those involved in this in Ireland are the same people who pushed back against masks and Voldemort, etc. during the scam. So we're right again, is what you're saying. That's what you're saying there. I love being reminded by these people that I'm correct in what I've been saying and doing. Just like in the US and the UK, they've repurposed their seemingly legitimizations to target. No, hang on here for a second. There was actually people that were in these three categories here that were like, yeah, no, see these two here, they're gone. We don't want anything to do with them. It's getting interesting, because these people now, and as I've said before, and a lot of people have said as well, these people are going to be now called bigots and islamophobes and all this sort of stuff. That's going to be an interesting time. A lot of the people that throw the word bigot at you don't actually know what the word means, and that's going to factor into something else that I'm going to talk about here tonight. Someone decided to call me a name during the week on Twitter. It didn't work out too well for that person. So community and certain education here. Now, obviously, when they talk about certain education as well, they want to be talking about things that are completely out of whack. And personally, if I'm being honest with you here, which I always am, I think it's up to your parents. And I would say, listen, I'll be straightforward with you. When I was growing up, it was your parents told you how to be safe, obviously, and then you talked with your mates. A lot of these people, have you noticed, don't seem to have many friends, and they come across weird socially, and that's why a lot of them can't answer questions or anything like that when they're in public, and certainly not any hard questions, because they're obviously not in groups of people that would regularly check them for what they've been saying. You know it as a lad, you know it as a lady as well, that you'd be in certain groups and settings and stuff like that, and if you had said something outrageous, people would be like, what are you talking about? And that's how you know that these people don't live in the real world. Look at people before profit. A lot of them have come from money. Paul Murphy comes from money. Richard Boyd Barrett, stepfather's Jeremy Irons. I find that to be interesting, don't you? And a lot of these people that have been living with the silver spoon are coming out now and telling people how to do things and what to do. And you're like, hang on here for a second. You don't know your arse from your elbow, and you're turning around to people and saying, "Oh, we should do things like this." No, he was voting for you. So anyway, these people are out and they're saying people have repurposed their targeting. I agree with some point in this here where it says people that have gone against these things for sure and have refocused. Absolutely, because that is the current game that you're in. You're in a game that, as of now, has decided to shift the entire topic and entire narrative onto people in a specific community. Now, when it comes to a specific community, by the way, these guys have nothing in common with them and have nothing in common with them. Okay? Because these people like women, these people like fellas, and these people are just too afraid to admit that they're either one of this. You know what I mean? That's what an awful lot of people in that community do regularly say. So you've got a point now where people have attempted to walk away from the sniffles. And I'll keep saying it. These people need to be held accountable. All of them that have been running the show here need to be held accountable. They're hoping to move on to this thing because this is a thing that unanimously an awful lot of people agree with, that they think that this is wrong. And it's like, okay, right, can we buy another year or two out of this? Probably. Yeah. And what are we going to do? We're going to throw 4% under the bus. Does anybody care about that? No. Okay. Off they go. And that's all that's happening. They're just saying, all right, we've had enough of this. It's very akin to having a footballer at your club, like, say, for example, Manchester United or Chelsea or Liverpool, or if you want to talk about a local football team, sure, even though an awful lot of them are compromised by the left anyway. But it's like having someone that's there, like Fred, for example, or one of my favourites, Luke Shaw, a guy that's getting an awful lot of PR, a fella that's been hanging around the club for nearly 10 years and failed really to do anything. So, and I say that with statistics that back me up. Alex Telles is a better player than Luke Shaw. Anyway, moving on from there. It's like having guys like that in your Harry Maguires in your team and your David De Gea's, people that don't really perform, and you're deciding now at this moment in time, okay, we look like we're on the up, get rid of them. And it's easy then, and you look good. Like, if the club and Eric Ten Hag, for example, get rid of these people, they look fantastic. They look great. They look great getting rid of Jesse Lingard. They look great getting rid of Paul Pogba. You know what I mean? People that were hanging on. And this is the same thing that you're saying here now. This movement was useful for these people for a long time. And an awful lot of this movement were very happy to harass people, particularly online. And people have decided, no, I'm not afraid of that movement anymore. I'm not afraid of these pennywise individuals. No thanks. And I tell you what, as a matter of fact, let's go back to doing what we were doing in the 70s and 80s, which was, it was behind your closed doors and no one knew about it, and keep it there. So a lot of people feel that way. And I've seen it recently as well, where there was a poll done and it said that, I think it was at 75% of people have, when they found out that a TV show consisted of this stuff, they turned it off. They said, I'm not going back to that. I had people recommending The Last of Us to me. Quick speak. I had people recommending The Last of Us to me. And I said, no, I won't be watching that. And they said, why? And I said, well, first of all, I know what goes on with the games, and I know that there's a big flurry about that. And these people have actively sought to annoy people. So I was like, it's going to happen there also. Then they cast Pedro Pascal. Of course, a weird individual. Then they cast Bella Ramsey, another strange individual that's been saying strange things since then. And then, what was it, 3 episodes in, they decided to have something like, was it an hour worth of this sort of stuff? People said, no, I'm not having this. And people switched off. And that's where we're at now. People are like, I don't want to watch this at all. And they're turning off stuff that's been produced from massive companies. Look at Hasbro even this week. Hasbro just today have announced that they are bringing back the plastic on the boxes so that you can see inside the boxes. That's what effective strategy looks like, where collectors come together and go, we're not paying for this. I'm not paying for that. And they decided, no. And now Hasbro have to go, oh, okay, we'll go back to what we're doing. So very, very similarly to this, I think that these people that want to be held accountable as soon as possible. And this is all you're seeing now. You're seeing people be able to be refocused on something else. And I think it's quite interesting to see that. Let's move on. This is something that Aisling was talking about during the week, which was Shed, the Shed situation, how the Shed seemed to have improved. Some people were suggesting that this is potentially now, looking back upon a green screen. Some others were saying, how did she obtain what seems to be a work permit? And people that have come in and brought things into the house now when they were supposed to be fully locked down. Of course, there was reports about this woman that she was out and about outside of her 5K during the time. Now, I think that the 5K thing was ridiculous, but here's the thing. If these people weren't holding themselves to account, why should anybody else have been doing that? I seen Kevin Bridges during the week, very famous Scottish comedian, as you know. Check out some of his latest videos that he's putting out there. He put out a banger of a one, put out two of them. And one of them, I think, is labeled Conspiracy Theorist. And I said, oh, that's interesting. But I thought to myself before looking at it, because anytime I see that, I'm saying to myself, it's going to be biased and he's going to try and take the mick out of both, but more so one. And he did. But I tell you what, it was super interesting to see when he decided to pick up on Boris. He's like, I'm ringing around me mates and telling them, no, mate. He says, you're in one house there. You're a fella on your own. You can't come to me birthday party. You're a waste of a house. Meanwhile, there's Boris on the decks going, you're up there, lads. And there's loads of people there. He says, I'm looking at that going, what's going on? And you can see and hear some nervous laughter in the crowd. And there's people that genuinely don't know what to do. But the better one was a subsequent video he put out. Now, again, people will be like, I was going to watch the video. What are you telling me for? I just need to tell you in case someone else doesn't watch it. And he talked about specifically the Boris situation. There's Boris over there having people over and they're having a great old time. He says, meanwhile, he says, if you didn't follow the specific arrow going down Tesco's, he says, and you decided to turn the other way, there's people screaming at you, I've got asthma. What are you doing walking this way, you absolute lunatic? And he's pointing that out, and a lot of people in the audience aren't laughing. You might say, oh, well, the joke wasn't funny. No. Do you know what that is? That's self-realization of, oh, I was that person. Oh. And you know that in your own life now, because I know as well, particularly people close to me, especially my old man, he regularly tells people, he loves having a laugh and loves pointing things out. And I love that about him, I have to be honest with you. It's a fantastic trait and something I've carried with me too. But he'll point at people and say, do you remember you were doing that? Yeah, what do you think about that now when these people are off there? And love seeing people get jittery. But this is the same thing that you've seen now on Kevin Bridges' special. Insofar as there's people sitting there going, yeah, that was me. How ridiculous was that? And still you have things that are going on now. Like I'll show you a case that happened in the WRC, I think was it this week. It's absolutely unbelievable stuff as to what's going on. But these are people, this is an individual that should absolutely be held to account for what she's done. And I saw a letter not too long ago from a woman that said that she was refusing to pay a TV license because she says the state broadcaster had engaged, according to her, in activities and things that were completely at odds with what they had made an agreement with her with. Super interesting. So yeah, this shed thing is getting a bit of light here now. And the thing is, there's more time on our hands now than there is any time beforehand, and people are starting to look back, which is important. We can't just Avengers Endgame this insofar as, the blip happened for 2 years, whoops, we just had to get on with things. No, that's not how things go. Especially when you're not seeing, but when you're seeing all of these suddenlies happening around you, and indeed becoming more and more frequent, particularly amongst young people need to be starting asking questions, you know what I mean? 39th Amendment. So you've got the Irish Get put this out here during the week. I thought this was fantastic to see. And this is kind of referencing what went on last week. Now, what happened? Kelly Harrington obviously came out with an interview, and the interview was car crash stuff, really. It was a journalist, as a lot of people would call him, attempting to make a name for himself. And then within 24 hours, people had his own tweets, and that was it. Narrative was over. So the dog pile on Kelly Harrington was over. Kelly Harrington has since left social media. So the Irish Women's Council, or the Women's Council of Ireland, fairly silent on that about a woman being bullied. It's very strange, isn't it? A lot of these other places as well too, you know, Irish Council for Civil Liberties and all that, all seem very silent when it comes to these things. But you best believe if it was to do anything with what's coming up in June, they'd be all up in arms about these things. You know what I mean? Very interesting, that, isn't it? So anyway, within about 24 to 48 hours, Ono Brun put out a picture. Now, this isn't the picture. This, again, has been photoshopped a little bit further than what Ono Brun put out there. And the flag here wasn't included, obviously, but the lads in the likes of the bally there outside of the house were included in it. And what resulted... This is just how I view things now, guys. These things don't happen by accident. They happen for a reason. And what happened then was, for about 3 or 4 days, the media and various politicians were nearly seconds, very strange, seconds after O'Brien posted it, straight into the comments. Oh my God, we can't believe this. How dare you talk about An Garda Síochána like this? But, lads, An Garda Síochána are present at evictions. Like, this is widely known. And they love to use this one. That's a public order offence. A public order offence. They use it all of the time with anything. If you say something too loud for their liking, that's a public order offence. Remember we seen Tinkerbell there 2 years ago where the lads were outside enjoying a few drinks and she decided to annoy a few fellas. Yeah, public order offence. Pure nonsense. Pure and utter nonsense. Carte blanche to do whatever they want and say whatever they want. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's coming back to bite them now at this stage of the game because people are looking and going, I don't agree with an awful lot of what you've been doing, lads. And not only that, then you're very silent on certain people. You know, Greedo from Star Wars, very silent when it comes to these things. Like, none of you are putting pressure on them people at all. Weird that, isn't it? And none of you are making statements, not even a full and transparent statement, but you're not even leaking it into the media, you know? Weird. Anyway, when it comes to this here, this was put out, and of course they were all baying for it then. And within, I'd say, another 2 or 3 days, O'Brien sort of walked it back, and I had a meeting with the AG. Harry Potter lookalike went in and had a meeting with the AGSI. I went in and had a very constructive meeting. You had a constructive meeting? What? What are you talking about? What are you saying? Absolute nonsense. Because here's the thing. You also then had the artist of this that went on to Virgin Media. Now, this fella went on and gave a performance. I have to be honest with you, that was hilarious. There's this character, Fionnan was his name. People will probably be fairly familiar with this guy now. I think he was a writer for the Irish Independent, but went on. I think he was a previous, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was a previous Fine Gael candidate. And he was going mental at the artist, and the artist is just like, sure, like, I can do what I want. And your man's like, but that's political. All of what you do is political. All of what you're doing is political. This is all political. It's all political because one person is trying to say, oh, we do this, and the other's trying to say, do that. Listen, they're all in it together. So the 39th Amendment, a property seizure of a family home takes place in order to vindicate housing rights of a North African minor. It goes on then. But that's the memes that are out there now at the moment. We'll get on to another one now in a few minutes. Councillor Hazel de Nortoon. Now, as you can see there, people before profit person. I'm taking time off my second job because of the amount of housing cases I have to deal with this month. The complications to them all because there's nowhere for people to go. Why are you saying open borders is a good idea? So I'm even getting housing. Hasuing. This councillor can't even tweet properly. Oh my God. Anyway, suing cases from other counties because they're getting no support there. And Sean McConmara says, hashtag Ireland is full, thumbs up, full of racists. So pointing out the truth is racist, as you know. Pointing out what you can see with your own 2 eyes is apparently racist. It's not going to work. And what's happening here is they've imported leftism from America, and it has been quickly shouted down by people. As I said, you've been given inches and you've taken miles, and the Irish people are different from American people. The Americans are very tolerant people, but not only that, then the fact that they live in different states has a big effect on why they can do what they do and why they're tolerating as much as they are tolerating. Ireland's a different ballgame, and you've grossly overestimated what you can do here. Grossly. It's a good meme, isn't it? Anyway, we'll move on. Oh my God, you're an istaphobe for doing that. Listen, that won't be too long until you see that. It won't be too long until you see that on the street. I guarantee you that. Give it 5 years. Imagine her trying to run after you. You can't run after me if you're a male guard. Why? I identify as one. Let's have a look at this here now. So this is starting to come up because people are starting to really realise what's happening in terms of the housing. Now, this is sponsored by People Before Profit. So, as I always say, have a little chat with these people if you happen to see them, of course, respectfully and peacefully, as always. And if you happen to have the email addresses of these people, a lot of people out there are suggesting that you email them respectfully and peacefully and tell them what you think about this here. 39th Amendment of the Constitution, Right to Housing Bill 2020. Bill entitled An Act to amend the Constitution. So these people, as I said before, are constantly at the Constitution. They don't like the Constitution, and they don't like the fact that it keeps them in check. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to change something that has long been established and has long worked to be like, that doesn't work so much anymore for the plans that we have. You know, who's voting for you people? Again, I'm doing this now in nearly 3 years. I still have yet to meet a person that votes for the Green Party. I've still yet to meet a person. I actually put out a public poll on Twitter and was like, do you know anybody that votes for the Green Party? It got over 500 votes, I think it did. And it was 96 and 4%. And there was people that commented underneath that. They were like, oh, I know one or two. And I'm like, okay, so how is it then that this party have ascended to the position that they're in? How is that happening? Like, who is voting for these people? Now, a lot of people were suggesting you're right to do so. I know people, and I mean, it's shocking to think that vote 1 to 10. So you're actually inadvertently giving that person some sort of vote there. Now, this is also as well, too, if you add into the fact that there's possible shenanigans going on, and if you do indeed leave these things blank, that someone else may or potentially be filling these in, speculatively, allegedly. So, this is sponsored by Richard Boyd Barrett. That's Jeremy Irons' stepson, Paul Murphy. He had an uncle that worked in RTE. His father was the former CEO of Mars, the company there. Mick Barry, Breed Smith. Breed Smith didn't do too well recently because she decided to come out and stump for St. George of Machete. Didn't go down too well on her Facebook posts. And L. Gino Kenny, they're recently, fairness to him as well too, finger on the pulse when it comes to this. Dave McSavage put out a video of him acting as Gino Kenny. Alright, bud. How are you? I just want you to vote for me. And do you remember the video not too long ago with Gina there telling people that they were listophobes and all that, and then saying, oh, I don't want your vote. Don't want your vote. I don't want your vote. That's not going to work out too well. You see, when you decide to tell people you don't want their vote, that angers a lot of people. Well, here's what's said within this bill. Okay, and this is the important part to notice, because this is where these people use words in particular to convey anything that they want, and they can utilize it any way they want. The state in particular recognizes the common good. So there's that phrase again. It's like the greater good, you know, from that movie Hot Fuzz. This is what this has the inklings of it for me. The common good. Okay, what's the common good? Well, it's for everybody. Listen, here's the thing. It's been a capitalist society for a very long time. I feel very sorry for people that are down and out. I feel sorry for that. But that's just what you're dealt with. That's the cards that you've been dealt with, and them's the breaks. Okay? This ideology of we're all the same, that's untrue. And the fact of the matter is that in a capitalist society, it makes people strive to be better and to do better and to do as best they can. This society that these people are aiming for doesn't do that. It's very bad. And for anybody that has visited the likes of a communist country, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And this is the sort of stuff that they're trying to go at. In China, for example, when they had the Olympics, remember those? They decided to come along and build a massive stadium. This is the government. Decided to come along and say, we are sectioning off this area, and this is going to be where the stadium is going to be built. Do you know what stood there beforehand? Houses, apartments. So what did the people do? They had no choice. The government just rolled into town and said, right, we're going to move you on down the road there. No, hang on, I like it here. You've grown up here. No. You have no choice. You're out. Good luck. And if you don't agree with that, you're going to jail. So this common good nonsense is all the hallmarks of communism. And communism, let me tell you, is bad. I know friends of mine as well too that hail from Romania. And I know friends of mine that are old enough to remember what it used to be like during communist times in Romania. Not good. Now, this is the thing. They have viewed both sides. They have viewed the communism and they have viewed the capitalism. And both come with issues. But when I asked them point blank, which did you prefer? And which do you prefer? Capitalism all the way for them. These are people that lived in a communist society. And they were like, not good. Yeah, we're giving 4 bananas. Like, ridiculous stuff. So, when you see this stuff, the common good, very, very bad stuff going on there. And indeed, it is alarm bells. As including the right to secure, affordable, dignified housing, appropriate to need. So appropriate to need as well depends on how you read that. Okay? Appropriate to need is like if you have a grandparent and they happen to live in a 3-bedroom, you get these shams that come along the state and they go, listen, you're a singular person. Now, this is the point in time that we're in now because that would be where I'd play the game, I suppose, and a lot of other people would play the game and say, well, I refer to myself as a they, them. And I need multiple rooms. Anyway, to take this seriously, you have a singular person that is there and they're going, yeah, you live in a 3-bedroom. I tell you what, Abdul and the lads there, you know, they need a bigger living space than what they're living in now. They're currently living in a flat and there's about 15 of them. They can fit into the 3-bedroom there. And they're just looking to take that away from you. For all the residents of Ireland. Now, residents of Ireland, by the way, just so we're clear on this one, they didn't say citizens, okay? So it's very difficult to make people and confer so many citizens. They're attempting to do it, but it's very difficult to make the amount of people that they have brought into the place citizens without causing a huge uproar. Now, there's already uproar anyway, but if you bring in the likes of 80,000 people and say, now they're citizens, you're going to have big problems on your hands. What you have now is 2,000 odd people that are being brought in. So incrementally and slowly they're doing these things. But resident of Ireland means someone that's just staying here. That's what a resident means. So it's important to know what these words mean. Because a lot of times you're seeing people out there that are using certain words that don't know what they mean. A resident is someone that's just here knocking about. So why would you then decide as a state to come in and say these type of things? Because they want to take the property off people and shall guarantee this right through its laws, policies, and prioritization of resources. The state accordingly shall delimit the right to private property where it is necessary to ensure the common good. So again, back here. So common good as well too links into the sniffles, because for the common good, they lock down people's businesses. They decided to not let you outside of 5 kilometers, and the Gardaí obliged that, and they said, yeah, no problem, we'll stick to that task of nonsense there. And this is what they want to go with. So they want to use the same sort of measures, and you've seen it already with Varadkar stating it, and the media running with it. The media said that Varadkar said, and again, this is not me saying he did, the media said this, that he was talking about sidestepping the Constitution and having a scam-like response. Now, when I say a scam, I'm talking about sniffles-like response to the housing stuff. You know what I mean? And you can see where this is all going. And listen, we've been right about these things for the best part of 2-3 years now. And this is where they're going next. And they're actively telling you these things. Now, I personally believe, and I do think, that they need to tell you these things openly as they are, so that they can just go on with what they're doing. If they decide to come along and do this, then I think that that's when they'd have a problem. But the fact that they're saying these things and publishing these things, and this is why it's important to keep an eye on these bills and all of these different types of exchanges that are happening in the dot, because these things have been said publicly. A lot of stuff has been said publicly. But to me, this is another issue that people should hone in on. And those particular TDs should be people that are contacted by people and are told, you're not having that. I'm not having that. And likewise, people should be contacting other TDs and say, get rid of this. This should be nowhere near it. Because these people are all very aware that if nobody votes for them, and certainly if they don't have a base, then it's going to be incredibly hard to do what they've allegedly been doing for a very long time. You know? So the common good and to vindicate the said right to housing for all residents of Ireland. So residents, again, not citizens. Important wording that's going on there. So from what I can take from here, a lot of people say, oh, well, you could be fear-mongering, you could be scaring people. Okay. But what that reads like to me, it means that they are just going to come along and tell people, yeah, you can't live here anymore. You're going to move off somewhere else. We have Ahmed and the lads there in review, you know, the blue and yellow flag waving country people, they're going to come in now. This is where things are going, because they're actively telling you they don't like you as Irish people. The Irish government don't like you. Some people would use stronger words. Their advertisements are showing you that they don't like you and they wish to replace you. The media is telling you that they wish to replace you. There are articles that are out there that are saying the Irish will be an ethnic minority by 2050. Gleefully telling you these things. Not panic buttons being hit going, holy shit, guys, look at what's going on. Instead, it's like, oh, well, they're telling you this. And They are planning on this going ahead. Now, I've seen a lot of people that have said that they would do certain things should this happen and should someone come along to their houses. And I have to be honest with you, I can see the point in that. However, a lot of people have decided to go down the destructive method and they've said, oh, well, I'm not doing this. There's an awful lot of things that you can do before it gets to that point. And I wouldn't advocate nor support nor endorse that. However, what I will say is this: as long as I draw a breath, I won't be brought out of my house by nobody to make way for anybody else. And it's that simple. Because this is where we are at now as a country. And if you do not stand and take a stand when it comes to these things, it is going to be lost for a very long time. And that is what they do plan on. They do plan on this being just run roughshod over people. And that's why you're seeing huge panic from people in the media and indeed from people in the political sphere, because they're going, oh, guys, we thought we'd just get people in here on buses, no problem at all. We thought we'd send them up to barracks and let them live in barracks, which is very weird. We've also decided to send the Gardaí out and talk to these people as in recruitment sort of stuff. Weird stuff, lads. It seems like that you're just proving people right about what you're wanting to do. And then there was a Freudian slip on TV not too long ago about Gardaí coming in from other countries. So it seems to me, and you encounter it, I'm sure. Listen, as I said before, I have friends from different countries and I have different friends that were in this country and stuff like that are from different countries. But I have seen what people are like in, say, supermarkets, for example, and other places. People that are not of this land that take their jobs incredibly serious. You know, that's not the Irish way. Our way is to take things, and I mean, you might agree or you might disagree with it, but our way is to do things and kind of like, well, sure, look. But there's people that are out there that will run around and rat on people and tell tales and stuff like that. They're not of this land because that is what they are accustomed to and that's what they come from. That's where their morals lie. That's where their customs come from. So to me, when you see that sort of stuff and you decide, and everyone has had an issue like that beforehand, have they not? Where they've had an issue with a person that works in a shop or works in some sort of service where they have a horrific attitude. Now, think about that type of individual in a uniform. Becomes daunting then, doesn't it? And a lot of people are very aware of that now, and I think that needs to be making a lot more people aware, and we will do so here in this stream. So that's where we're going here now with these things. We'll show you this now in a moment when you see this, lads. But this gave me a laugh. Now, people would say, Ninja, that's very cruel. You shouldn't do that. But here's the thing. These are people that actively called you istophobes, called you a bigot, called you an ist, called you all sorts and all that, wishes for you to be destitute, wishes for you then to not own your own home, wishes for you to be put into jail because you share a different opinion than this person does. And this person is out whining on Twitter now because they are being yoinked out of their gaff because the eviction ban was lifted. Awesome. Awesome is what I say. I'm delighted to see things like this because a lot of other individuals feel the same way. And I've seen some people that were like, Ninja, bringing the heat here on this one. I can't believe that you've gone in on this person like this. Now, I'm delighted to see things like this. I feel for patriots. I feel for nationalists, for sure. But when it comes to people like this that have decided to denigrate people and have decided to tell people that they're off their rockers for telling them exactly what's going to happen, which is happening to this idiot right now, which is, okay, if you have too many people coming into the country, the government are clearly, very clearly prioritizing people of different countries over or around. Did you think that they were going to care about you? No. Useful idiot. Exactly what happens to the LGBT plus whatever it might be community. Exactly the same thing. Useful idiot. You've gotten us to a point where we're trying to get things accepted into society, which is adults doing things with you know who, and certainly not legal. And what they are trying to do is they're trying to get people to a point where they go, okay, that's exactly what's gone on. And it's gone on in different spheres of life. And this is where you're at now. I think this is funny. That's how I feel about this, because I'm saying to myself, this is a person that decided to do all of the negative things that one could do and decided to tell people, you're off your rocker, lol, 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 lol. You probably believe that the masks don't work, don't you? You probably think that those Voldemorts are bad for you. Sure, look, refugees, welcome here. Absolutely, say it loud, say it clear. Refugees, welcome here. The eviction ban's been lifted. I'm being put out of my house. Yeah. Good. So what we have here is this guy, Utter Ireland for the Irish. Dumb Fs. Still in my app mentions, laughing at the thought of me facing an eviction notice. Think they care about Irish people. not about you. And that's the difference. You've decided, like I said beforehand, there are people out there that would have sided with Oliver Cromwell had he landed on these shores tomorrow. Okay? And this is one of those people. Oh, Oliver, you're a great guy. You know, Oliver, we think that these people are just anti-imperialists, anti-British, anti-Cromwellians. That's what they are. Istophobes, they are. Xenophobics, they are. What are you doing, Oliver? Excuse me, I'm going to the Gael, am I? You want to put me up in front of these lads, a certain squad? Surprise, surprise, history repeats itself, lads. It just repeats itself, and it's a cycle. And what you're saying right now is the same thing. Plantation 2.0, an invasion, it's very clear. And it's state sponsored, allegedly, respectively. So, what we'll jump into is this here. This is Longford District on Garda Síochána. Look at those guys smiling in the photos. And we've got the future Gardaí, the future Gardaí, as Dave McSavage likes to say. Great stuff, lads. Great stuff. Looking forward to this one. This one's going to be interesting. So what I've decided to do is, in the last couple of weeks through the media, is you've decided to say, well, the Gardaí are going to be more diverse, super duper. What else is happening? Well, we have Albanian criminals and Nigerian criminals, gangs, very serious ones, that are now operating here in Ireland. Okay, right. It's kind of like we told you that was going to happen, didn't we? Yep. And what's been happening in the meantime? Do you know what, lads? We've been getting the corrupt guards out of there now. We've been doing that. We've been doing a great job. Okay, so you've gotten a few heads out, and you're going to replace them with these guys, are you? Yeah. And you don't think there's going to, and nothing suspect's going to happen there, no? You don't think there's going to be sort of activities going on there? Oh, no, sure, no. These are upstanding people. Great, okay. Do you know where they came from? No. Do you have any vetting? No. And they're going to be in uniform, allegedly, respectively. Bad times, lads. Bad times, and it's gonna keep rolling. We got people smiling there. I'm telling you now, there's people that are out there that are smiling for photo ops here now that have definitely smiled with Oliver Cromwell. They'd have been on two knees there now in front of Cromwell going, oh, Ollie. Types of people we're dealing with, guys. So what I have here as well, I'm just going to show you this one. This is just an absolutely hilarious take here. So you've got Linda, hashtag respect for SNIs. Of course, no respect for the Irish people here as well. Linda doesn't have. Feminist powerhouse. Listen, feminism has completely and utterly upended women and their sensibilities over the last number of years. This is a point in time where you have seen women that are completely agreeable, and you see them on podcasts all the time, specifically ones that are orientated and they are, I would say, presented by more masculine individuals. When these people come on and it's just like, yeah, you don't seem to understand what's going on here, is how you're being used as any sort of pawn in this sort of game. But you keep seeing these people pop up and they go, I'm a feminist. Oh, you're a feminist, eh? What do you do? I'm a content creator. What does that mean? I get my camera phone out and I shout, oh, okay, right. All right, that's enough of that now. Right, you're definitely not a feminist. What are you talking about? And feminism, by the way, just as we're blatantly clear on this one, a lot of women in the chat agree with this here as well. Feminism was something they drummed up when the governments decided, when they sent fellas across there to put their lives on the line for nonsense, really. And a lot of people are realising that now. Decided to bring women into the workforce and take them out of the home. They realised then that they could get double the amount of people, or close to that anyway, after the fact, if they did an old con on people and said, oh, guys, it's the men that want to keep you down. No, a lot of women were very happy to be working at home. I mean, working at home is a job, guys. You know what I mean? And these people are like, no, you don't feel like you're vindicated enough. You don't have your own money. And now you fast forward to where things are at now, which is women that have decided, and I know them personally in my own life, and you see them all the time. There's an article I'll show you down here now as well too, that have forgone families to go on trips, to buy the latest handbag, to go out with the girlos, and it has not gone well. They are now facing down biology, and biology is telling them, listen, you want a kid, you're a bit late in the game for it now. And this is what you get. You get feminist. Feminist is always a bit of a link into, I don't particularly like men, and I don't like men who disagree with me. But that's great, because we'll end up seeing where this went from here. Outspoken SNA, super mum, women's equality officer, I mean, amazing stuff there. Equality officer. A Labour, DNW, equality officer, Rep 40, advocate, Women's Aid, and One Family Ireland. So Linda decided to stick out an old post of her ripping up, just to put you out there and let you know what I've done, ripping up a leaflet from the National Party. Yous are not welcome here in Finglas. Yous are not welcome here at all. And I've ripped this up and all the ones that I found around the area and I've put them in the bins. Do you share that same energy for the likes of Sinn Féin, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, people before profit? Do you share that same energy there? I doubt that you do, because you haven't been told to share that same energy. That's the thing. So people coming along and posting some home truths, which is what the National Party are doing. Again, like I said before, I'm not nailing the colours to the mast in terms of any party that I support. Obviously, as I said before, I think the National Party made a big mistake by removing Philip. I think that was a terrible idea, and I think that is going to come home to roost eventually. I can see the Irish Freedom Party are starting to gain momentum, and I love the fact that Derek Blythe has set up Ireland First. I think that is hugely important. But I also, as I said beforehand, put your egos and narcissism aside, sit down, strategize, and see which areas you can take, because it's important. That is much more important than egos and narcissism, I'm telling you. So I said underneath that, I was just like, one of the refugee welcome crowd, with the clown emojis. And Linda decided to quote that, and she went, "Lol, you must be one of the fascist crowd." So I wrote the same thing that I wrote here under her post, and it started to do good numbers. 39 likes, as you can see there. 1,000 views. You might say, oh, that's not great. It's good for Twitter, because this woman currently had 5 at this time. So what I did was, I said, what does fascist mean? And how many refugees are you housing yourself? Now, I'm going to do something here now which an awful lot of other people don't do. And I'm going to tell you what the word fascist means. This comes from the Britannica Dictionary. Fascism, a way of organising a society in which a government ruled by a dictator controls the lives of the people, and in which people are not allowed to disagree with the government. I don't know about you, but I would say, and I don't know whether you'd agree with me, I would say I'm the complete opposite of that. For anything that I've shown over the last couple of years, I'm sure you'd agree with that I am the complete opposite of that. I think goofballs, and I said it last week as well, I think goofballs should be able to say whatever they want. I also think it should be applicable for us to say, well, look at this goofball over here. You know what I mean? I also do think that anyone can say what they want, as they please and as they do. And I don't think that disagreeing with the government is, I don't think that that's a bad thing at all. I think that's a good thing. I think that I've disagreed with the government more over the last number of years than I ever have in my entire life. And I think a lot of people feel the same. So I wouldn't fit what the word fascist means. Would I ban the Green Party? Yeah, I would. Would I seek to bring law and order to the country? For sure. But I think people have a right to an opinion. And I do think that when you see sensible debate, and debate is important, because that's what's happened over the last few years. And look, I will say this and I say it all the time. I think it's important to debate. And what you're starting to see now is you're starting to see the other side start to go, Leo Varadkar going, guys, I think we should have a debate on this trans thing. Well, you didn't seem too interested in that beforehand, but I tell you what, you're going to get absolutely you're going to get absolutely laughed at when these things come to light, and especially if you get someone to debate you that's anyway good, because people are just going to have an awful laugh at this, and this is brilliant. But you've pushed them into that territory. And this is the thing. When it came to the likes of the Masks and the Voldemorts, there was no debate. And those of us who disagreed with the government then were labelled all sorts of things. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that there are many people like Linda. Now, I don't know, I'm not speaking for Linda or anything like that here at all. And again, this is speculation. But Linda, were you into pushing masks? Were you into pushing the Voldemorts? Were you into talking around your little staff room with other people and saying, look at that person over there, an absolute tinfoil hat? Were you one of those people? Because I don't know about you, but certainly the definition of fascist wouldn't be linked in with me. Wouldn't be linked in with me at all. So obviously, as you can see, the question and the subsequent question to it there resulted in that. So 39 likes there as well still. And she doesn't know what that is, and certainly didn't want to respond to that. Now, hasn't blocked me, which is important to know here, but decided to delete that because my tweet in response to her in her own comments was doing good numbers. It was getting more likes than she was. And this quote was getting more likes than she was too. So that's where the shift has happened, particularly on Twitter. Is Twitter perfect? No, it's not. Absolutely not. I would say that 100% it's not. And a specific community in particular that are all, they all identify as being autistic, all seem to have these group frenzies that they go with people as well too, to tell them that they don't like people that are Mrs. Doubtfires. You know what I mean? And they usually get loads of likes now. That's all I'm saying. What I'm saying is, though, from this one here, this is way more natural, what you've just seen here, which is more likes than this woman. And then this woman ended up going, oh, yikes, because this fella's at the economy out here. And he's at the economy out well. You don't know what the word means. It's a word that you're throwing out there because it's a buzzword now. And it's a buzzword that you've used. And any type of istophobe. You see, here's the thing. A couple of years ago, people would have gotten a clown-like tweet like this towards them and would have said nothing and would have been like, oh my God, it was called that. But now the mirror has been shone on people like this and it has been placed in front of people like this, and people like me will go, what does that mean? Tell me what it means. Oh, you say that I'm transphobic. What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, you're scared of them. No, I'm not scared. I'm disgusted. Now what do you do with me? You don't know what to do with me because I'm going, look, couldn't care less what you say. And the same thing here as well. Now, as I said beforehand, and as I said again, I don't think I fit the description of that whatsoever. And in fact, I fully believe that I don't fit that description. But I think it's interesting to see where the person has decided to delete that tweet because they're like coming under a bit of pressure there now from that lad. So that's where you're standing with a person that is high up within the union that's been defeated pretty quickly by some idiot on Twitter. And you've got Britannica at your fingertips on your phone. So what I'm getting at is this. Don't throw around words that you don't know the meaning to and that you're applying in an incorrect sense. It's like the other one. Oh my God, you don't agree with this. You don't agree with open borders. You're a racist. How can I be a racist when I have friends of different races, of different nationalities, and have grown up with characters that I loved and still love that don't look like me? How could I be a racist? How? How can I support a football team like Manchester United and be a racist? How? How can I do that? How can I support footballers and like footballers that don't look like me? How? How can I be that? Because the answer is that you aren't. And this is the thing. These people have conned people and they have called people names over the years and have said, oh, that's your little box over there. Not at all. Absolutely not. I mean, imagine being so absurd to think that, for example, and he gets called her all the time, that satirical soldiers are racist. This is a guy that went across to the Lebanon and defended people, Lebanese people, in their country. And you have people out there that wouldn't be able to lift a 15-kilogram dumbbell calling this fella a racist. Like, it boggles the mind. But these people are the very same people that focus on race themselves. And what has happened is now, they have opened up this conversation so much that a lot of people are just starting to notice things and they're starting to go, okay, right, I'm not into that. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use statistics. Crime has increased in the last year. I wonder why. What has happened in the last year? That's right. We've let in over 80,000 people into the country that you don't know who they are, you don't know where they're from, and they have increased crime. Have they? It seems so. It just doesn't seem like old Paddy decided, oh, I'm going to get involved in some criminality there. Doesn't seem like that at all. You're starting to hear media outlets now. They're doing the same thing that the Yanks are doing, guys. And the Irish Gay has been on their case. It's fantastic to see, as have others. And has been saying, hang on here, you said something about a woman there the other day, a woman who's no longer with us, and there's no description of the perpetrators. What's the story with that? Well, anytime you don't see the description of the perpetrators, because the media have now shown you their hand, they're happy to tell you that someone that's white and Irish is under investigation or that they're seeking someone that's white and Irish. So to me, this is the way they've gone now, like the Yanks. Anytime you decide to leave that information out, we can only assume that that's what you mean. And that's where things are going to go. Sweden have done the same thing. I tell you this story all the time. Friend of mine in Sweden. What did they do in Sweden? What they did was they took the ethnicity off police reports. Why? So they couldn't get a percentage of who was doing what. What has happened in Sweden? They've totally reversed that now. They decided to go, this open border stuff, lads, is a bad idea. It's terrible. And then we want to get short of these people. There was a survey that came out as well too, by the way, that said these people here that you're saying are the second most disliked people in Surrey in the UK. That's interesting, isn't it? It's another one that's heating up. So Matt Carthy, TD. So Matt Carthy, we'll just double check here now. And as far as I know, Sinn Féiner. So let's just double check here. You're doing a live one here. So TD, Sinn Féin, Irish politician. Okay. The scenes from Al-Aqsa, I don't know where he's from, so I'm just going to do this, Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem are grotesque in the extreme. Is there not a word for that? An anti-ism? Is there a word for that? Isn't it? I think that's so strange. Do you not find that that's so strange? The Sinn Féin are more interested in what's going on over there than they are here in this country. They couldn't give a fiddlers about what's going on here in this country. More interested in Cuba and other kips than our country. Like, the mask is fully off with these people. The brutality of this Israeli, now, important to know, apartheid. Medical apartheid was here in this country for the last couple of years, and you guys were nowhere to be seen. In fact, a lot of you were supporting even harsher restrictions. You've since deleted an awful lot of those tweets and videos that are out there, but the internet's forever, and a lot of people still hold those. Best believe that. Has been exposed to the world once again. This time the world must take notice and demand an end to the oppression of these people. Well, Matt, that was a bad idea to post that picture, because that image was first found on April 29th, 2022. So that's an entire year ago. What's the story? That's the same image. So how is it that an image that came out from a year ago is now being used in a push towards us? It would almost seem orchestrated, wouldn't it? It would almost seem like, oh guys, we have an awful lot of spinning plates going on. Let's spin another one here. Nobody gives a rat's about these people, and nobody gives a rat's about these people in this country. No one cares. Nobody cares. So coming out and grandstanding with 911 likes after getting over 70,000 views is nothing. Nothing. Nobody cares. And that's what you've seen here now. This is an image search that was done by someone else, and they have put this out here and have said this was on April 29, 2022. What's the story with that? What's going on there? This is another interesting thing that happened during the week. There was a lot of conflicting reports. I mean, I'm sure there's a video on this one, but to be honest with you, I couldn't really care less when it comes to these people, because these people are all ten and porkies. Anyway, in my humble opinion, speculatively, allegedly. What's that? Derek McMahon's is counting now. I'd say probably like that's 5 ninja you've done tonight. So what happens, to just give you a short summary, is this was a he said, she said situation, insofar as there was a comment made and it was just like, well, we wanted to do this, and the minister said something different and then pushed it back onto the Taoiseach, and now it's just like, uh-oh, guys, we haven't got our story straight here. So Peter McVerry came out and said this here. In relation to the ending of the eviction ban, the phrase I was given was that the Taoiseach had overridden the Minister for Housing, in light of the Taoiseach saying that this was not the case, which I accept as true. It's not like for Edgar to tell lies now, sure it's not. I now believe that the phrase was unfortunate and accurate, suggesting that there was a conflict or dispute between the Taoiseach and the Minister. That's interesting, isn't it? That's a very strange thing to say. Whatever the circumstances leading up to that decision, which are now irrelevant as the decision has been made, I accept that the Minister, along with the rest of the Cabinet and the Taoiseach, made the decision together to end the ban. This has become an unwanted distraction from the real issue, namely where are people going to go when they are evicted. Weird set of events that have happened here now, and conflicting stories, but also goes to show you how closely knit these people are, which is like, I said that, I made a mess of that. Whoops, guys, can you cover for that? Sure, no problem. Allegedly, speculatively. And this guy is out here. Now, this guy was exposed not too long ago when I did the video, and I was just like, sure, this fella's sitting and saying things now that are completely at odds with what the Irish people feel. So, again, back to this nonsense of like, where are people going to go? Well, closing the borders would have been a good idea a long time ago, and deciding to invite more people in and call people racist when they said this is a bad idea has definitely worked out very poorly for you people, has it not? So again, the heat is on for these people, and this is where they're going with this amendment, by the way, with the housing thing. This is all linked in. Guys, we've got nowhere to house people. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll stick them into our gaps. You will not. You won't be doing that. I can assure you that. No, you will have people out there I'm not joking you. There'll be people out there that'll be like, oh, okay then. And then you'll have the other people that'll bottle it when it comes to it. That'll go, oh, sure, like, what else can we do? Plenty. Absolutely plenty. So when you see this sort of stuff here from Father Peter McVerry, it just lets you know, like, again, like I said, there's a great sickness within the church, and the church definitely needs more based priests and definitely needs more based priests speaking out. It's the same. The same can be said for every occupation out there. Paul Trivod. So many people I know in the restaurant bar game are simply effed. They are too proud to admit it. A lot are just going to pack it up and close at the end of this year. So this has just come from yesterday, by the way, guys. Okay. So this is where things are going. Like I said earlier on when I was looking at that lad, Uncle Tim's, he's like, it's $30 to go to McDonald's now. And he's like, McDonald's food quality is crap. Yeah, it's not good at all. And that's a place that's even increasing prices to an unattainable level. And a lot of people out there, and I know a lot of people that like to dine out and they like to eat out, that ain't doing that anymore. They're cooking at home. Very happy to do so. Very interesting. A lot are just going to pack it up and close at the end of this year. Lease is coming to an end. Sick of working for nothing. Tired, no light, no hope, no more fun, and simply not worth it anymore. These are the repercussions of closing your businesses for the best part of 2 years, guys. These are the repercussions for deciding to put the blue and yellow flag into your profile picture and spout all sorts of nonsense of, yes, we should welcome everybody and anybody into the country. These are the repercussions of this. These are the repercussions of allowing a man to run around on a global tour as if he's the Who. And he is turning around the countries and telling me, give me the billions and give me the millions and I will take it to your man in Russia. Pure codswallop. Absolute codswallop. Your man should be laughed out of places. And not only that, a bit more. Like, this is the repercussions for supporting nonsense. And a lot of people have been hoodwinked into believing that one little gick hole in the middle of nowhere is the reason for why everything is as expensive as it is. It's not. It's a culmination of things. You've got a widely out of control government in America. You've got another one in Canada. You've got one here. You've got a widely out of control EU. And you're starting to see it. And you're starting to see a lot of these other places distance themselves from it. Places that now all of a sudden seem extremely clever. Russia, China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. They're all just walking away. They're all just going, Turkey, you want to come over here as well too? We'll just start our own club. And I'll tell you what, we're all the powerhouses now. At the moment, and just to give you a bit of inside baseball, as they call it, Africa, what they're looking to do with Africa right now, the Americans and American companies are looking to outsource manufacturing from China to Africa. Now, what they've done, and I know this because obviously I collect my collectibles. It's Derek McMahon's to be like, I'm delighted I'm using that word now. Fair play to you, Derek. They're outsourcing that now to Africa. They have moved it from China to Vietnam. Now, things have become more expensive, and now they're going to move it to Africa. So, obviously, there's deals going on there. But in the meantime, what's also happening is the Africans have come together and they're like, we see where things are going here. We're siding with the other guy. What's your man talking about over there in Russia? He's talking about the nuclear family. He's talking about morals and traditions. Hey, we'll have a bit of that. What are we going to do in Uganda? We're going to ban these alphabet groups. Tell you that's what we're going to do. Look at them. And a lot of people are looking at that and they're like, they seem to have the right way about it, because these places, like the likes of, I'll tell you what, if this gang all joined together, the aforementioned countries, America's done. America's in serious trouble, because what does it do? It just has financially and economically just finished. And that has massive repercussions then across the world, because obviously how much we have tired ourselves and have continued to do so through our inept politicians. When you have the likes of Radgar coming out and saying ridiculous things about your man in Russia, instead of, I don't know, being a diplomat and sort of sitting on the fence, which is what a good diplomat would do. Instead, what they've gone and done is they've decided to invite that senile idiot from America that's running the show over there into this country. We're going to welcome Joe over here. No, he's not welcome. He's Irish American. He can say what he wants. He doesn't know what colour underwear he's wearing today, I bet you. He doesn't even know what colour tie he's wearing. This fella hasn't got a clue. And is that even the same dude from 10 years ago? People would be like, what are you talking about? Look at the photos, I'm telling you. Have a look at them from 10 years ago and have a look at them now. That ain't the same dude. So what you got here now is giant repercussions of nonsense and nonsensical things. And it all boils down to what people are deciding to side with. And what I mean by that is you were seeing what's happening in America, and that is a repercussion in America that has knocked on so much because for the best part of 2 years, the likes of the military and the law enforcement over there have looked the other way, along with copious amounts of solicitors and judges. So many people have looked the other way. Everybody with a modicum of intelligence knows exactly what went on in Yankee land not too long ago. Everybody knows. You've also seen, then, say, for example, what's been going on in France. How is it that 80,000 people turn up? Now, I might be getting the number wrong there. I don't know how many people can fit in the Stade de France. Probably about 67,000, is it? How is it that 67,000 people in Stade de France are calling for Macron to be out there? How is that possible? How is that possible and that fellow wins re-election? How does he do that? How is it that Rishi Sunak, who was the son of someone that, or is he the son-in-law? He's the son-in-law of someone with multi-billions or either millions. Why is he running around as Prime Minister? What's going on with your man in Scotland? Did you hear about Nicola Sturgeon, by the way? They've arrested Nicola Sturgeon's husband, allegedly, speculatively, and they're starting to dig up her back garden. Wonder what's going on there. Then you've got a guy that's over there, is it Yusuf or something like that? So you've got Yusuf in Scotland, you've got Rishi in England, and then you've got the Varadkar fella here. Then you've got Kamala Harris across in America. How is it that these people have attained such positions? And particularly from a country, by the way, that fully believes in the caste system. Now, do you not know what the caste system is? I'll give you a brief explanation on what the caste system is. It's precisely what they're trying to do now. The caste system is a system, if you've ever seen the movie Slumdog Millionaire, that explains it, where you've got people that have loads of money, that can do whatever they like, and people that don't, and they can't do anything. Now, does that sound familiar to you? Because what are they trying to do? In earnest, they're trying to take vehicles off you. They want you to not have your own car. They want you to not be able to go outside 15 minutes out where you live. This is where they're going. Council.ie have this up, by the way. Must do a video on that. So that's where we're at right now. And people are slowly but surely getting tuned into the game. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, and I know an awful lot of what I say is stuff that you've already heard. But for the newbies that come in here that haven't heard this before, stay with me. This is a Gonzo production, but you'll eventually get there. So Paul here is accurately, I would say, predicting where things are going to go. How many businesses do you think will be open by the end of the year? Let's look at some big ones. Argos are pulling out of Ireland. Iceland are pulling out of Ireland. People that say that's a country. Very good. But the stores are pulling out. So how long is it going to be before others do? Well, the tech sector is being absolutely and utterly fired every single day of the week nearly, and thousands, and there's going to be more. McDonald's are laying people off in America. Just think about that for a second. A minimum wage job is laying people off because it's like, things are tough here, guys. And there was a video that came out from Texas, I think it was about 2 months ago, I talked about, where the McDonald's in Texas was fully automated. The only people that were in the place were people that were cooking the stuff and then just sticking it into the bags. The rest of it was done by machine. So this is where this is all going. And a lot of these restaurants, by the way, have themselves to blame. And a lot of these pubs have themselves to blame. There's a lot of places that I haven't stepped foot into after what they got up to. There's a lot of places that I've gone into after what they got up to and spent the bare minimum. Because, you know yourself, sometimes you have to go out and stuff like that. But I've spent the bare minimum in these places because I won't forget. And that's where we're at now. And again, it's a psychological thing, I suppose. And a lot of people are saying, well, that's what they hope for. I agree. But a lot of places and a lot of local places chose to do very nasty things to people like you and me. And we haven't forgotten. Our industry has been destroyed, whether it was planned or not. It was planned. Who knows? But it's broken beyond the point of repair. So how many businesses are going to go out of activity before these people all decide what is going on here? And like I said beforehand, you're going to get so many of them that are going to close. And this is the game. So many of them are going to close individually, and there isn't going to be a big noise made about it. Instead, what should be happening is a lot of these places should be coming together now. You know what I mean? They should be wondering why things are being pushed to where they're being pushed to. A lot of them know, and a lot of them will also say, which I think is a fair point, the cost for utensils has gone up. Knives, forks, or what you call napkins, all these things. These are the things that I talk to these people about and say, like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, there's Tupperware as well too. Another one straight through the roof. I've seen it as well too. For example, IKEA. IKEA was known as somewhere where you would get cheap furniture. Look at some of the prices in the furniture there now. It's doubled and almost trebled in some cases. And this is stuff that's made out of chipwood. Like, it's made out of very poor material. And it's trebled in price, some of the things. Like, it's absolutely outrageous. And people are just going, all right. Now, a lot of people aren't going, all right. People aren't buying. These places are like, uh-oh. Absolutely, uh-oh. So anyway, guys, as you know, foreigners won't be policing you. That's a conspiracy theory, as you know. And what's going on here? Made Crime Prevention put this out here. Now, there was another post that went out from allegedly, speculatively made Crime Prevention, but I couldn't find it. And it was that they were in this post. This is the thing now, by the way. You're going to have to be careful with some of the information that comes out there, and some people are out there for the laugh, and I get it, I understand it, and look, I have my own opinions, I suppose, on that. Some people are putting out information purposely that is obviously not true to get a rise and get people wound up about things, but at the same time, you're looking at it and you're like, stick to the facts, stick to the truth. That's what I want to do, and that's what I think should be done, and I think that that's more impactful, whereas if you do those posts and are saying things that can't be verified, it then becomes very difficult for people to believe anything then. You know what I mean? So obviously I'm not going to share the other post that has been doing the rounds around on the online world, but it was another one that I was like, well, if that was written like that and posted, I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we're at right now. And it was talking about going into a specific place and saying we're recruiting from there. Anyway, again, that's a speculation, possibility, allegation, I suppose, at this stage of the game. But this is real. This is verifiable. This is up there because I checked this myself. Joining on Garda Síochána will change your life and the lives of others. From the moment you join, it will be a mix of challenges, rewards, new skills, and new friends. Being a Garda is a tough job, but it's a job worth doing. You can apply before 3 p.m. via publicjobs.ie. Now look at this. Keeping people safe, diversity matters. So this is the type of buckaroo that they're going to have in a uniform that does a video here talking nonsense. Now, as you can see here, in nice clobber here, Puma, fresh gaff as well too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about you lads, but that's sketchy, to say the very least. And this fella's doing a promo video here for this. This is where we're starting to move towards now, where this guy even has an accent. You know what I mean? He's like, joining on the Garda Síochána. And people are looking at it going, hang on here for a second. Where we're moving towards now is a point in time where they want you to obey foreigners. And very similar to Cromwell, exactly the same, except that these people don't look like you at all. So you're going to have a big problem on your hands when it comes to this, because a lot of people out there share the sentiments that they won't obey these people at all. And that's when cat are going to be amongst pigeons. Cat's going to be amongst pigeons, I should say. Because people are going to go, no, not having this. You're doing what? No, go away from me. It's a different thing to be stopped by someone that's of your own land. There's a bit of give and take there is, because people are like, well, you understand what it's about, you know what it is, not that. Whereas these people are just rocking in. There's already a level of disrespect coming from people towards the Irish people, and it's going to be mutual very soon. It's beginning. I can see it even in everyday life, where I'm seeing it in the likes of supermarkets and stuff like that, and I can see it with people. People are just not into it anymore. They're just going, yeah, get away from me. You know what I mean? And it's going to be more interesting when it goes towards the uniforms. Now, as I said before, of course, then you were a conspiracy theorist if you thought that this was going to be the case where they're going to have foreigners police you. And you're a conspiracy theorist when you think that they're going to stick them into the defense forces. You know, complete conspiracy there, guys. But these are the types of videos that they're putting out there, and they're actually promoting these things. You know, very strange that. They also put this out. This is Garda Info on Twitter. AC Cleary spoke a resident in Mosney village today as part of our recruitment campaign. What's been housed in Mosney? What's been housed there? Well, I can tell you what, it's not Irish people. And they're going for a recruitment campaign. What do you think, guys? Because I tell you what, this certainly looks like what we've been saying beforehand, which is they're bringing in foreigners to police you. Because, and it is what is happening now, especially with the swords thing. This thing is going to ramp up further, because now the establishment are afraid. They're like, guys, it looks like some of the Gardaí are on side here with the nationalists and patriots here in this country. And it looks like people aren't worried about being called istophobes anymore. Oh no. So they're going to ramp this up, and they're setting out their stall real early. And I have to be honest with you, when I start to see articles that are out there that are calling for the guards to be given tasers, and this has been said, this isn't by accident. Now, where is the next logical step after that from a taser? It's a boomstick. So they've talked about giving them boomsticks in the past, and this goes back to something I said not too long ago. I think probably about 6 months ago. I said, hey, look, they're actually actively in the media saying how many people possess boomsticks in Ireland. They're concerned. They're concerned as well too with the family beginning with K. Why? Well, for very similar reasons. Because if anything goes wrong here, people are going to look to, and I'm not saying they should. What I'm saying is, I'm not supporting or endorsing, I disavow. What I'm saying is, just cause and effect. When people start to feel threatened, they're going to take different measures, again, speculatively, allegedly, when it comes to these things. They see what's going on. They see the belligerence that they're being treated with by people online. They see it in supermarkets. They're seeing it on the roads. They're seeing it in public everyday life. And they're thinking to themselves, what's this clown going to be like with a uniform on and then potentially something else? Like, you already have multiple issues where people are no longer in this plane of existence anymore at the hands of people not of this land. What do you think it's going to be like when these people start to get into uniform? It's going to be chaotic. So, again, this is just cause and effect. Are all of them going to be bad guys? No, absolutely not. But I would rather have our own people policing our own people rather than people not of this land coming in and doing all sorts of things. You think that the anti-corruption unit are going to be busy now? Wait until you see what they're going to do. But then, again, what happens then when you start to investigate certain people? Oh, you're doing it because I look like this. Then you're snookered because you're playing the woke stuff then. So I'll tell you what, telling these people publicly that this is a recruitment campaign and you're going into Mosney with these people is a bad idea. And these people have to be fully transparent with what they do because they're hoping that this is going to get no attention or very little attention and that people won't kick up a fuss about this. People should absolutely be kicking up a fuss about this. And this goes back to, like I said, taking Irish away as a requirement to join on Garda Síochána. But then further on then moves into letting the fella that's former PSNI be leading the place and then have a Canadian woman that was brought over here then to be in the upper ranks of that. You don't hear an awful lot about her, but you should. Another one that's pushing all of this woke diversity stuff. And again, like I said, no, disrespect to people that are Canadians out there, but my lord, you guys have some absolute clown shows going on over there, and now we're importing them here to this country. We recognise that we've more to do to meet our aim of being fully representative of the people we serve. Now, I said this before, and I'll say it again. I've been to different countries around the globe. People outside the globe, it's flash. What are you talking about? Okay, whatever. I've been to different countries around the world, and not once, I can tell you this, not once did I walk through any of these places and say to myself, do you know what I think here? Not enough people look like me here in this police force. Not in Asia, not in America, not in anywhere else. Never thought that. Never walked down the likes of, what shall I say, Times Square and seen a lot of black cops and said, not very diverse there, don't actually match my profile. Not that I've seen white cops, do they match my profile? So nonsense is what's going on here. Pure utter nonsense. Oh, we want people that look like us to be in there. But all that's going to do is it's going to set up this sort of nonsense, which you already know, which is people and cliques. That's where it's going to go. So I'm telling you, like, you don't even know to have it. But like I said, is this sort of stuff being carried out in the likes of Russia? No. Saudi Arabia? No. Turkey? No. China? No. Qatar? No. Where is it happening? Ireland? UK? What's going on with those countries? France? Not good. Now I'm telling you, I've been speaking to some American friends of mine. They're like, whoa, boy, because they're like, we wouldn't have this here at all. It's what they're attempting to do in America, but we wouldn't have it here at all. We want and need people from all backgrounds to be Gardaí. So I told you before, and I'll say it again, it's just a conspiracy theory that they want the foreigners to be policing you lads. And this is an incremental phase. This is your clone troopers being brought in. And they're like, I don't mind that there. We're just bringing in a few of these guys. Next of all, you just see the full clone trooper brigade, and you're like, oh, there's an awful lot of them there. There's more of them than there is of Jedi. What happened with Order 66? Everybody knows what happened there. So it's going to be an incremental phase where it's going to be into the police, and then it's like, it's defense forces ranks are low as well. Like, not an awful lot of people joining. Not, we've wokeified it. We've got a couple of people around in uniform doing things that are happy to stay with the nonsense that we're going with, are happy to give up positions and indeed places for these people to stay, happy to train them as well too, and then happy to step aside or join with them and do things like that was done to Philip. I don't know about you guys, but I would say stay ready and get prepared is all I would say. And I'm not endorsing, supporting, or advocating for anything negative or any sort of violence or anything like that. What I'm saying is keep an eye out on what's going on. What I'm saying is. So what we've got here as well too is Saoirse McHugh. It says the dopes trying to ban books are the same people who scream about free speech if you disagree with them. There's a difference, again, between free speech and what you are deciding to do. What you're deciding to do is with these books, and you can keep an eye on them as well, and you have a look at them online. If you're a legal, consenting aged adult, and you're 18 plus, go on and have a look at them, allegedly, speculatively, and see what you think with these things, and see if you think that that's applicable for children. See what you think. So that's very different from, oh no, you see, this is the thing. Free speech has gotten you into the position where people are like, that's ridiculous stuff that you're saying. And that's important. So it's that you know that this former Green Party member is doing and saying things that are totally out of bounds. Anyways, we had the mobile library come to Ackle when I was small, and I loved it. Hope the librarians. I highly doubt that they were doing that in Ackle Island, what they're trying to produce right now. So that's why you got the Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Tumbler. That's why you got that. Okay? And that's what I'm going to start doing with people. I'm going to go, okay, you want to go full? You can go full, and I'm going to show you. All right? So that's where you're at there now on that one. So we got on that earlier on. Let's keep going. I'll jump into the chat now in a few minutes. I'll go through a few more stories. Oh my God, it's 10 to 10 already. So I've been on nearly 2 hours at this stage. Time is flying when you're having fun. And certainly when you're telling people what's going on. I always find it interesting to be telling people what's going on. Highly important that we know what's happening here in this country. And it's starting to get wild. It's starting to get wild. The whole idea of recruiting people is bonkers, lads. Honest to God, really is. So let's have a look here. It's just S Club 7. We'll get on to them in a moment. People are like, what are you doing showing people S Club 7? Listen, I have a good joke when it comes to that now in a moment. So you'll understand what I mean. So Philip said his YouTube channel has been permanently removed. It was good while it lasted. Follow him on Odysee and BitChute. Thanks to everyone who supported the YouTube channel. They will not stop free speech. Keep our lit. So 431 likes there. Great to see you there. And oddly enough as well too, 19,000 views. So that's interesting to me, isn't it? Only a couple of minutes ago, we saw someone with 70,000 views with 900 likes. And there's our Philip there with 431. Now, here's the thing. There are people that are going to be jumping up and down about this, and they're going to be absolutely delighted that this is the case, that it is. Sad individuals is what they are, of course, because, again, they don't like someone that disagrees with them. And that's essentially what it is. You disagree with me, I don't like what you say, and you should have no ability to have a side thought. Meanwhile, at the same time, all sorts of lunacy is being pushed forward and is being given to people as being something that should be something in reality when it shouldn't. But what this says to me is this. I thought about this quote here from Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones, and I said to myself, well, here's the thing. There's been a number of times that Philip has been put off of YouTube, given timeouts, because they didn't like the content that he was putting out, and they were saying that we weren't a fan of this and all that sort of nonsense. We've seen that with other prominent people over the last few years. What it says to me, though, is that with 40,000 views accumulated, and that's not only that video, but multiple other videos that have gone into, I'm sure, the hundreds of thousands at this stage of people that have viewed what's going on and have been awakened by it, is the machine realizing, oh no, this fella is getting more views than News Talk. He's getting more views than Virgin Media. He's getting more views than RTE. And he is doing well, and he is saying things as they are. What you have inadvertently done, though, is you have done something that Tyrion Lannister has, long before you have decided to do this, has said in a TV series that was very popular. When you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world that you fear what he might say. And that is exactly what you've done here. So you have just vindicated, you've just vindicated Philip. You've vindicated everybody else that said this is the type of thing that you're going to go with. And you've got Sergio up there complaining about free speech and everything like that. And people have been able to have their say when it comes to these certain books. And these would be the same people that be jumping up and down and saying, oh, it's great that Philip's gone like that. No, it's not, because the discourse of what's been going on over the last number of years has greatly been improved because of people like Philip. Philip has been instrumental, whether you agree with him or not, instrumental in highlighting exactly what's going on. And there's a part of me that looks at, for example, like what we've seen earlier on with Dahi there, and has said, yeah, good enough for you. It's a terrible thing to say, and it's a terrible thing to feel, I'm sure. But these are the people that are actively calling for the very opposite of what you were going for. I believe that people should have different views, and I believe Sergio has their views, Dahi has their views. Sure, have a debate and talk about these things. Great. But what has happened now, and what has increasingly happened, is people have decided not to speak to each other anymore. And this is where the likes of the blocking gang comes into play. I've seen leftists on Twitter over the last couple of weeks that are getting very, very upset. And they're making new accounts, by the way, to follow prominent accounts that are posting out the truth of what's going on. These people are not getting the oxygen in their little circle. And they're finding that they're getting some oxygen for quoting the likes of Philip and other people out there and having a mean word to say about them. Nothing constructive or anything like that, but just, things that are like, oh my God, I don't like you, and that. Okay, great, fantastic. Move yourself on there, move along, that's great. However, what you have now become accustomed to now, as I've shown you over the last number of weeks and indeed months, are people that are not looking for the truth and are not interested in showing you the truth. However, Philip is. So to me, the establishment and whoever has decided to remove Philip from YouTube has made a big mistake, because all they've done is they've decided to prove him right. They've decided to vindicate him, and they decided to just go in on everything that he had said beforehand and have just proven him right. This is something that he felt himself was going to come for a long time. A lot of people actually posted underneath his post and said, we're amazed that you lasted as long as you did on the platform, because you were really exposing what's going on. And that's the thing. It's important that he sets up elsewhere. Like I said, Rumble. It's great to see him on Odysee. Great to see him on BitChute. Very important. Make sure you're following him over there, is what I'd say. I hope he sets up on Rumble. I hope he gets in touch with the likes of Ricardo. I hope that he publicly at YouTube and has a conversation with them on Twitter, because that's the way to go forward as well, to publicly at them and go, here, what's going on here? What's the story with that? And a lot of these things have proven to have people reinstated, because they're like, well, actually, when we did look at it, we decided that it wasn't against anything. Now, the thing is, the policies change nearly on a weekly basis. It's ridiculous stuff. It's designed to catch you. You know what I mean? It's designed to do that. Whereas you've got, I think, there's 10 basic principles there in Rumble, and it's like, once you do that, it's cool about it. That's how it should be. That's free speech. You know what I mean? And again, these are people that are conflating free speech and, oh my God, you say you're a free speech absolutionist, but you don't want us talking to the kids. Yeah, correct. I don't want you talking to the kids because you're a strange individual and you're pushing strange things. So no, you don't talk to the kids. You don't get to do that. You don't get to conflate that with free speech. Have what you have to say to me and you. Have what you have to say between legally consenting adults. Don't start talking to kids. That's a bad move. That's a move you shouldn't be going down and shouldn't be taken. So to me, like I said, this could just make Philip grow even bigger. Obviously, as well, people would say, and I suppose they're right, and this is where I come from, the point of view of get in touch with Ricardo, get in touch with other people and see what can be done about that, because the more platforms you have, the better, is what I always say. And I've seen an uptick since I've been back on Twitter, which is great to see. I'm sure there's people out there that are curious. There's other people out there that watch the stream and watch the videos to just dislike them, and I think that's fantastic. I love to see that, because guess what? It's good for the algorithm. I like that. You're watching. Thanks very much. I appreciate that, each and every one of you. And even if you're sitting there with gritted teeth and your fist clenched tightly, looking at this, going, I don't like this guy, I don't like what he's saying. Cool, that's fantastic. But on the same token, you got to look at guys like Philip, who has been doing this for a long time and has been doing fantastic work. And it's a great shame that this is where we're at right now. You think of the amount of people and other individuals that are out there pushing this leftist stuff on this platform ad nauseum, en masse, and ain't nothing being done about that there. You know what I mean? You got to think about it, and you also have to think about it insofar as where this is trying to shape and reshape reality. You know, I've seen it there recently as well. There was a prominent YouTuber whose close associate has decided now that he's a doubtfire. And, you know, a lot of responsibilities now falling on that YouTuber who has millions of subscribers to go, listen, I'm going to call a spade here, guys. Because otherwise, he's got a young, impressionable audience, and they're going to go, sure, is this normal? What's the story with that? And the only thing is, you've got a generation of based kids that are coming forward. And I talk to friends of mine who have kids. And as I said before, you know, particularly kids that are originating from, you know, the parents are coming from Africa and Eastern Europe, which is ironic to say the very least. They're the ones that are looking at your Andrew Tates. They're the ones that are looking at his stuff. And he's back out, by the way. You're up the lads. But they're looking at his stuff and they're watching. And they're like, yeah, I like what this guy is saying. So you've now got a generation coming through that aren't into all of this nonsense, are vehemently against it. And to me, it's going to be interesting to see going forward. So moving on to this one here, Paul Cattermole passes on at 46. As you know, totally normal for a 46-year-old to just not be on this plane of existence anymore. They just announced a world tour there, S Club 7. Of course, you know, totally normal for that to happen, to plan a tour and then no longer be with us. You know, that's happened as well to other people. Who else that happened to? Justin Bieber. He's cancelled all his tours. His wife is in a bit of bad shape now as well too. Ray Liotta, no longer with us. Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried. You've got Paul O'Grady there last week. You've got a GAA manager there, I think, the week before. Can't think of the man's name. But another one that went by suddenly. A couple of other people have shared. The point man as well too, that has been here, shared with me there during the week that a young woman is gone suddenly. Now, again, I don't know the ins and outs of that. And that's why it's important to keep an eye on these stories and see whether it's a deletion or whether it's something else. And again, these cases are stacking up now, and they're being stacked up amongst known people. So like I said there's a couple of names there that just have gone by the wayside. They've not said anything about that. Now, you think about that. Did anybody go by the wayside, famous-wise, when it came to the sniffles? No. Do you think that they would have chirped on about that for a very long time? Absolutely. Had any of them done that? It's like, and again, Kevin Bridges says it himself. He's like, you got these people out there, and he says that the scam is claiming assists. Oh, what happened? Yeah, my Uncle Fred is gone. Oh, you know, gone with the scam. What age was he? 90. He's like, they're just getting assists. Gary Lineker tap ins. So anyway, I'm just going to put this out here, right? Paul Cattermole found at his home in Dorset on Thursday, and there are no suspicious circumstances surrounding this. Okay, so 46 years of age, no shock nor suspicions around this. Really weird. This guy was also a fortune teller. Obviously not a very good one. You know, he didn't pick this one out with the tarot cards, did he? That was the joke that I was going to pull up. So anyway, I don't know, did that got a few laughs? If I got a few laughs, great. If it was a bit dark, I suppose, you know, it is what it is. You get this channel sometimes. But this is why you're getting people now that are becoming well-known individuals and are well-known individuals, and these type of things are happening, and they're like, chalk another one down to coincidence. I was at Lance Reddick last week. Lance Reddick, a very in-shape 60-year-old, just went to sleep and didn't wake up. Ray Liotta, same story there. I mean, think about that for a second. Ray Liotta was enormous insofar as being a celebrity, and they just breezed on past him. Justin Bieber having an issue with his face, they're like, breeze on past him. One of the biggest music artists in the world. And they're just like, don't mind that. Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried on a train together. Don't mind that. Just move on past that there, guys. Don't look at that. Don't worry about that at all. It doesn't seem like any of the political class are having any sort of issues with that, is it? You know? None of them going with the sudden ear or anything like that. Sure, isn't it? That's weird, isn't it? So anyway, Revenue sends warnings to 150,000 homeowners over unpaid property tax. Statistics on local property tax for the fourth quarter of 2023 shows 314 million has been collected so far this year. That's an absurd amount of money and an absurd amount of stuff that was kicked on there by Enda Kenny. A lot of people have seen that he's been unwell. A lot of people wish him ill. you know. Anyway, they go on and look at this here. They actually said in the little quote down below it there, over 150,000 people. So 150,000 people, by the way, is the lowest number that they could give out. So what has happened in the last year? Well, I can tell you what's happened. You find attempting to tax people out of existence will lead them to say that, and rightly so. Now, that's just my opinion, and my view is this. The fact that they have decided, and amongst all of these companies, to raise energy costs, to raise the cost of your weekly shop, to raise the likes of petrol and stuff like that, that has resulted in people looking at this and saying to themselves, I don't think that is worth paying. And a lot of people feel that way because they're saying, well, what sort of standard of service are we being given? Are the roads around my area? And he goes, no, there's potholes all over the place. The roads are shambolically done. You've got little to no Garda presence around the area. You've got little to no presence of the likes of the corporation. You've got people that are involved in certain things that don't want to do anything. So you've now got people looking at this and saying to themselves, oh, hang on here for a second. What am I paying this for at all? And again, it's an expense then for a lot of people. Now, where does this lead to? Well, this leads to these people, obviously. I think this is the 7th article I've seen in about half a year. So they're ramping this one up. Now, who's not paying this? Well, people that have just walked into the country and been given all sorts. They're not paying that. You're Paddy, and you've been told to pay this. You've been told to pay TV license. You've been paid to pay this, that, and the other, and all sorts of other nonsensical things. And then you look at your paycheck at the end of the week or the end of the month, and you go, where's that money go? And a lot of it's gone to tax. And you're going, hang on here for a second. Half of my paycheck is going away in tax anyway, and now you want to tax me even more. I said it before, and I say it again. I was talking to an old friend of mine, an elderly man, and this guy was saying, he says, what led to the fall of the Roman Empire? And he says, too many taxes. He says, and an age of decadence. This is a very, very intelligent man. And he says, and this is what you're saying now. The decadence and the depravity out in front of your very eyes, they've tried to distract people with the likes of sports, and it's not worked. Some people are still distracted by sports, Paul, and sports was the first thing, as you noticed, to be brought back, Jordan and Snivels, because people were getting restless, and they decided to bring that back because we like take the eye off it. And still, there are people now going, no, hang on, I've no interest in it. I know many people now that don't watch television anymore. They don't watch sports anymore because they're like, it's just invaded by all this nonsense and they don't want nothing to do with it. So I can see that point. But going back on this, 314 million has been collected. That's an absurd amount of money. And how is that being redistributed? How is that helping people out? That's not, is it not? All right, great, fantastic. What are we looking to do up here? We're looking to diversify the guarantee, guys. That's what we're looking to do. We're going to the likes of Muslim and we're speaking to them. What else are we doing? We're sending out 927 million in foreign aid, are we? That's close to $1 billion, lads, that you're sending over to God knows where for whatever reason. I'll tell you what, lads, I think it's come to the point in time that Africa needs to be putting on a concert for us. Because this stuff is out of control, and honest to God, you're looking at this here, 314 million, and they're saying this with a straight face, collected so far this year. What a sad state of affairs that people have given in to this sort of stuff. And I mean, there are people out there that work in the likes of law that cannot believe that this is a thing. They cannot believe that the likes of the inheritance tax is a thing either. They're like, this is unbelievable. You're being scammed out of it. So, forgive me if you will, but people have decided, no, I'm not having any more of that. U.S. Special Forces detain wrong guest in mock hotel raid. U.S. Special Forces burst into the wrong hotel room in the middle of the night and detained a sleeping guest during a training exercise. Oof. Not good there at all. And that's been reported by the likes of RTE. Not good at all, is it really? Great organisation, that one, isn't it? Really good. Plans to turn Sinead O'Connor's 1 million former Bray home into apartments refused. Did nothing compares to you, singer Porges Montebello in 2007 for a reported 1.7 million. So the left lads, always the ones to say, refugees are welcome here. You putting up on yourself? No, you're not. Oh, okay. Very interesting. You want them shoved into other people's gaps, though, do you? Another tactic from these people, by the way, is, well, You're saying that you cared about the homeless people. Like, how many homeless people are you putting in your house? None. Why not? Because I think that those people are potentially dangerous. So I don't want them in my house. No. But you're saying that like we should be looking after them. Yeah, absolutely. That's what the government should be doing. Rather than letting Kalechi and the lads in from the likes of Nigeria and certain places like the likes of Albania, Gregor in from Albania, and your man there, what's his name, Sebastian there from Georgia into the place. And they're deciding, oh yeah, no, we look after them. You know, I don't think that should be happening. I tell you what should be happening. And to take an American standpoint on it, the Americans, what they decided to do, and you can agree or you can disagree with it if you like, but they decided to make specific areas. So if you were someone that was on the Jam and Roll, that's where you went. You went out to, and I'm just going to take this place now as an example. You went out to the likes of Kilcock, and that was it. Gone. Out you go. You're not living in the likes of Doggy. You're not living in the likes of Tallet. You're not living in the likes of Finglas. You're gone. You're out to Kilcock. If you don't want to walk down to do it, and you're out there, bang, gone. And that's what happened in America. In America, and of course then as well too, you're talking about the ghettos. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because you had a similar people with similar ideals. They were where they were. You had the middle class that were all in their areas, and they were happy because everyone around them was middle class and was working, and everything was happy days. Now, what you have here in Ireland are people walking out their front doors, and they're looking because they're going to work to pay for this gaff, and they're looking at Kalechi across the road there, sitting there with a bag of cans in the sun lounger with the feet out and all like that, and about 50 kids running up and down the road belonging to him, and they're looking and going, why am I paying for this here? This is ridiculous. And not only that, they're actually taking more taxes off me to fund him and his lifestyle. So that's why, going back to this whole thing, why people are saying, no, we're not taking homeless people in. We should be looking after our own people first, but we're not taking homeless people in because, again, I'm concerned, and my top priority, being a man, and a lot of other men feel the same, is the safety and protection of my own family. You know, I feel very sorry for people that are down and out on their luck. However, I do think that there should be something there for them. And instead of bringing people in from the likes of the blue and yellow flag waving country, you should be looking after our own first and telling those people to move on. No, you're not coming in here. That's it. Instead, what you've decided to do is you've decided to say, yeah, we're going to welcome all these people in. Criminal elements have started to emerge then from these people and from these certain regions, I would say. And now people are going, well, we told you. Do you know what I mean? Like, absolutely bonkers stuff, lads. Sinn Féin need a housing crisis, Stephen Donnelly. They all do. That's the point here. They all need that because here's the thing. It is very simple and easy to fix this, as they've demonstrated. Oh, we have a surplus of people coming into the country. There's nowhere to go. Modular homes in Kildare, is it, lads? Okay, yeah, 8 million we're going to spend on that. So the homeless problem could have been fixed something like 10, 20 years ago. Could it not have? Well, you know, well, you're an istaphobe for noticing that. Anyway, let's keep going. Dublin Airport, hand baggage and security rules for holidaymakers this summer. I said the constant use of black people and stock images for something relating to Ireland is something else, isn't it? Look at that. Oh, you just keep pointing it out. I'm not the only one that's pointing it out. You've got this here, this article. Anyway, that's into sports ball. I'd just be like, how is this fella getting along? Joanne McNally cried and cried for an entire flight after realising she might want a baby. Joanne McNally has revealed she was left sobbing uncontrollably on a flight after realising she might want a baby. Biology trumps holidays with the girlos is what I said. So these people have a podcast. Can't think of the name of it now off the top of my head. What is it called? It's some weird name it is anyway. It's like a name that you're like, that's pretty jarring as to what you're saying there. And you've got, is it Vogue Williams is the other person that's on it? But anyway, Joanne McNally calls herself a sociopath in it. And then it's just like, I was going to Australia and I was looking at these things and the woman, and I just felt like this sudden urge. Yeah, that's because biology's kicking in and you're realising, this whole idea of going out and getting the latest handbag and going to the club and being with 50 different fellas. And when you get to a certain age, by the way, no fella wants to be with you because they've all realised what's going on there, by and large. And that's not to say some people have specific issues and problems that happen in their lives that are out of control. I understand that. I fully understand that. But a lot of these people, like this woman out here, are actively going on podcasts and are like, I live a great life. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm choosing not to have a child. I'm choosing not to be in a relationship. And you're the one then out there giving advice. You know, I saw a podcast there recently, and I said it beforehand, Andrew Schultz, this is a guy that's become very popular. Now, I'm very clear as to why he's become popular. You just look at the surname, you know. But he had Whitney Cummings on it, another comedian that's not funny. A thing that you'll notice, by the way, is a lot of these female comedians get a big push out of nowhere, and none of them are funny. I know some women in the chat be disagreeing with me there. They'd be like, no, that's not true. They are funny. Listen, I don't find any of them funny at all. But Whitney Cummings is in the same boat insofar as that she's a woman that's aging and she's bought 2 horses. And she's like, I'm really struggling and stuff like that. And now I'm realizing. And your man Schultz is like, do you think that you've bought the horses as a replacement for children? And this is what you see now. I seen a video there last week of a woman, and she has a pig. You know, one of these pigs that people, it was a pet pig or something like that. There's a specific name for them anyway. And she's TikToking a routine with the pig. The pig is shouting at her. She's actually created a necklace for the pig that it can press buttons, and her own voice whines at her. So it actually says to her, I want food, or I want this, I want that, and it's squealing at her all hours during the night. And I'm looking at her going, like, this woman's in her 30s. She's like, I'm very happy with what I'm doing. I don't need to do anything else. You know, but I do long for a man and a baby. But this is a great life that I'm leading. But you're going to the office to work for something like 12 hours. Coming home to the pig. Like, have you not looked in the mirror and said to yourself, hang on here for a second. This life that I'm promoting is a bad idea. And what I'm doing is I'm actively showing, and I'm trying to quell that maternal instinct. And listen, there are people out there that can't, and God love you, there are good people out there that can't have children, whatever it might be the case there. And my heart and sympathies goes out to you. Absolutely 100%. I feel that 100%. But you've got these people out there that are like treating it as if it's a laugh. Like, oh, you know, I this, and this woman actually goes down the route of, I think she said in the, I went and got myself checked and everything's cool. But you're not realizing what's gone on. You're not realizing that the years of you being up to things is just totally gone against you. And this lifestyle that you're promoting, oh, I'm on the road, I'm on tour and all that. Look what's happened to Whitney Cummings. Very same thing. So I don't know about you, but this is another admission from a person like this to people that the lifestyle that they're promoting isn't good. And what you have with an awful lot of these people, and particularly these women as well, too, I'm a successful woman. Well, that leads to its problems, and that's why you can't stay in a relationship with a fella, and particularly an average fella. Of course, you know, a lot of these women earn money because they're out to getting the push. They're more often than not very attractive looking women. They're not very easy on the eye. So not an awful lot of fellas want to go for them, especially fellas that are top earners. Okay, they're going to go for way more beautiful women, and not only that then, but women then that are doing their own thing. So they're not going to be earning an obscene amount. So what that leads then to is you've got a woman then in a position like this here that's earning money, and that is quite masculine. So men don't want to date men. The same way women don't want to date women. They don't want to date a fella that's going to be, oh, you know, look at this, that, and the other. They don't want that. So that's what has driven forward and been driven forward, going back to the feminism thing earlier on. That's what's been driven forward in culture now is, oh, this is a good idea and we're going to push them. Well, you've got an awful lot of attitude and bad attitudes that are out there now. And along with these podcasts that you get to see, now again, not all women. What I'm talking about is these lefty feminist women. Well, we're the same. Yeah, but that's not what men want. Men don't want something the same as them. If they wanted that, they'd be gay. And they're not. So what has inadvertently happened is you've got an awful lot of women out there that hold, and this is why they want to push this, by the way. We want equality. We want to be in the same jobs as you across the board. Well, that's going to cause problems and it's going to cause conflict. Because if you were in the same position as someone else and you're earning the same, a lot of women then think, oh, well, my responsibilities have lessened. I don't have to try. I don't have to do anything. So now you're creating this whole problem. And this problem then is amplified by your Love Islands and podcasts like this. You know, what did you do the weekend? Oh, I just went out with the girl. I'm pushing 30, but you know what? Sure, look, it's a great time. I'm having a lot. I know women that are in that boat right now that they're 32 and they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I decided, well, you know, yeah, we're going out with a fella there when you're 26. You probably should have stuck with him. No, well, do you know what I wanted to do? I actually wanted to go to Ibiza. Well, you made your bed and now you're lying in it because a lot of fellas are looking at you now at 32 and like, Zero interest. So I don't know about you, but people are starting to wise up to that too, where they're going, oh, these people that are out there now that are saying these things, they're openly saying these things. It's hilarious because it's just, again, just proves people to be correct yet again. Revolut issues Irish oil bans to more than 2 million customers. Yikes, big yikes on that one there. Online bank Revolut has completed the process of giving Irish oil bans to its more than 2 million Irish customers. But Ninja, why is that bad? Is this not competition for AIB and Bank of Ireland? Sure. However, these people have entered the market with little to no problems. That would suggest to me that they are happy for this to happen. It means that this move on to digital banking, which is, by the way, have you not noticed that's where AIB and Bank of Ireland want to go? They don't want you dealing in cash. They don't want you being able to go into a place and withdraw your cash. They don't want you even dealing with a human. A lot of these places, by the way, open from 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 p.m. A lot of people are working those hours. So how are you supposed to get to a bank? You can just go on your day off. Or if you're someone that works 5, 6, 7 days a week. Because these places are shutting the likes of the weekend. So that's where you're at right now. You've now gotten to something that's unobtainable. Oh, well, they have the likes of the paying the, what's it they call the holding the wallets. They charge you a transaction fee then as well too for that then if you're using those. You know what I mean? So they're winning constantly with your money. So this is a bad thing in my view. Of course, there's one way to look at it, which is competition is good and competition is always welcome. But the other way of looking at it is when they say 2 million customers, by the way, what they're signaling is that AIB and Bank of Ireland are missing out on a trick here. They're saying, oh, your customer base is down. Here's one that's increasing. And it's increasing because, and it's all the buzzwords and the terms they like to use, it's increasing because of the accessibility to this here. Yeah, but can you get a sham on the phone and say, here, look what's going on here? And it's difficult. Can you get them in hours? No, it's difficult. So, to me, very, very bad idea. And 2 million, big yikes, lads. Poor pay and working conditions will put young people off joining Gardaí, says Cork Sergeant. Pension rates in Gardaí economy will see new recruits retiring a pension of 13,000 per year. 13,000 per year by the time that you're 60 odd, whether that be in 30 years' time or in 40 years' time, is nothing. But I tell you what, not if you're Ahmed, who was just landed in. Ahmed's going to be delighted with life getting in there. Bad stuff going forward, lads. So anyway, this is another thing that I wanted to show you. A mother and daughter in no mask were out with Brown Thomas. A mother and daughter who were refused permission to collect their €4 click and collect order in a no mask route at the Limerick store of Brown Thomas have lost. It's a disgusting outcome. Now, they lost on the basis of that they decided not to show the security fella any sort of documentation. Now, to my understanding, if you're not a doctor, you cannot be provided, nor are you entitled to view any sort of documentation. That is my understanding. So that was the argument with which that the security guard went along with, and that the adjudicator went along with and said, yeah, no, I'm not having this at all. Now, why is this the case? It's the case because these people cannot lose face in things like this. What has happened with the Enoch Borg thing is it has just shown you that the machine is working in, I would say, an outrageous capacity against people that have common sense and reason and that are willing to follow and support the law. What you've seen, and these are the repercussions, by the way, over the nonsense, over the sniffles, are people that have been actively discriminated against and segregated, and you have people here with the gall to be telling you that they're up for civil rights, freedom, and liberty. You must be joking me, because you're nowhere to be seen, and you're not backing these people. This should be a nationwide story as big as the Enoch Borg situation. The reason why the Enoch Borg situation has become a nationwide story is because that fella has decided to push that all the way. And he's going to continue to do that, and fair play to him. Now, the state have a very difficult matter on hands now at the moment, which is this thing, the longer it goes on, it makes them look utterly ridiculous. And the more information that keeps coming out, the worse it looks for them. But it just goes to show you how much that they're going to mess about with them. So you've got this here, and the adjudicator was called Moya Depor, right? So a quick little Google search, and you find this here. ICCL tweet. Now look at what the ICCL are promoting here. Okay? Now, this comes from the 23rd of October 2012. So the ICCL, as you know, completely on the missing list, allegedly, spectively, over the sniffles. Okay? Situations like this, are they stepping in to help out? Doesn't look like it. But Moya Dupre is there. So when you were talking about civil liberties, should this person not know all about civil liberties and the fact that they were trampled upon? No. The bum, as the security guard, he's totally able to look at your medical documentation to collect a €4 item. And you know what your man had the gall to say as well in the article? He had the gall to say they could have done a postage to their home. What? Like, that's the absurdity that went on. And if you think that I'm not going to walk on from the sniffles, you're absolutely right, because I'm like a dog with a bone with these things. Because if they've done it then, they're going to try it again. And I'm not up for doing this sort of stuff again. Are you? So, our anti-discrimination law panel in the Law Society's President's Hall. Colour me shocked, lads. Mark Kelly, Moya Dupre, and Conor Power. So, anti-discrimination law panel. And she ruled in favour of Brown Thomas. Amazing, isn't it? Now, that's your woman there. I mean, look, here's the thing. You know, the day and age that we live in here now, anybody here could be identifying as whatever. But look at this here. This caught me eye then as well, because I said to myself, well, that's interesting as well too, because now you've got the ICCL that have linked in with this woman beforehand. She was made an adjudicator, I think, in 2022, amongst other people as well too. So obviously as well too, being appointed by people. And as we saw with the DPP was appointed by certain people, and funnily enough, then the DPP chose not to prosecute Leo Varadkar, who was under criminal investigation. So what have we got here? The future of anti-discrimination law in Ireland. So the ICCL is there. Now let's have a look through the Anti-Discrimination Law Review Advisory Groups. Conor Power, barrister. Cleena Kimber, barrister. Susan Faye Imi. Michael Barron belong to, so that's a gay organisation. Kat McElroy, Transgender Europe. Patricia Conboy, Older and Bolder. Jim Winters, Inclusion Ireland. Starting to ring a bell, lads. Hilke Becker, Immigrant Council of Ireland. David Joyce, ICTU. Moya Dupre, Northside Community Law Centre. Fiona Crowley, Amnesty International. Owen O'Mahony, Independent Researcher. And Dil Wickrensmanga, broadcaster. So these are the people that were linked in with each other. So when you see a result like this one, it comes as no surprise, because ideologically what has happened to people over the last few years, and what you will see continually going on, when you have people like that sit on a certain side of the table, their opinion is the current thing, and the current thing for them is absolute. This is where we are at now as a society. We are at a point in time, like I said earlier on, it's great to have a debate and stuff like that, but you are inching closer and closer now to people with a widening gap and widening divide that is not going to be repaired. I've said it before to you. I know people in my life that I will never speak to or think of the same way ever again after the last few years. And I mean that. And they think the same about me. Let me make no bones about that. These people, you can see it in their eyes. And I can see it. And they know it. And they know it. And they say it with their words. So, ideologically, the people that are on that side of the fence that are promoting all this sort of stuff, more than likely, we're in favour of the masks. More than likely, we're in favour of the Voldemorts. More than likely, we're in favour of the passports. So to see an outcome like this is something that I hope that the mother and daughter appeal, because I'm sure that they can go, well, hang on here for a second. You know, we don't think that was the right judgment, and we want to go further about that. If I was them, I'd push this on as far as possible. My 14-year-old daughter was stared at by adult male. Some horrific things were said in that, but there's no descriptions of the perpetrators. There's another woman that says something that her daughter witnessed, which is completely and utterly outrageous. No description of the perpetrator. Mad that, isn't it? When should teenagers use public transport alone? Parents worry about the safety of their teens on the bus, start and lose, and the concerns are greater for those with teenage girls. That's almost like we're correcting, lads, isn't it? And this is the scary thing and the sad thing. Now, by the way, look at all the kids there, for example, that are out focus, and look what they have up front. These things aren't picked by accident. And when you keep seeing these things again and again, the pattern is emerging and it's becoming very obvious, lads. Very, very obvious. So they're not concerned about young Paddy. Not concerned about that at all. They're concerned about someone else. And not only that, then at the same time, they're concerned about that person. They're like, yeah, no, keep the voters up there. Let's keep them up. Let's keep them coming there. These type of problems, they're very minimal. But now, they're all over the place. They're just going to keep growing. Individuals moving into tallow accommodation. More than 30 individuals have moved into accommodation in Tallow in the last week. An agreement was reached between the International Protection Accommodation. So more people rocking into the place there. Limit sugary drinks to 1 per week, researchers say. Of course, these are probably people that are geography teachers in the likes of Finland or somewhere like that. We think it's a good idea that to drink so many. Shut up. People should try to only have 1 sugary drink a week. Researchers have said after a new study linked high levels of sugar consumption to a wide range of health issues. So, lads, the sugary drinks are causing the suddenlies, are they? That's what we're led to believe here now. Absolutely bonkers stuff. And again, what do you think is going to come down the line from this? We already have a sugar tax. I think we should increase it. Nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. That's something that people enjoy, and you've gone out of your way then to piss people off, and you've decided to do something that they enjoy. Absolutely disgraceful. That's absolutely disgusting. Gardaí present at Dublin Library protests against the books. The groups objected to 6 titles, including Dawson's book, which has since been removed from the children's book. Yuppa. That's how things get done. You need to hone in on these things. You need to hone in on specific things, and that's the way you do things going forward. And I think personally, when you see people get a win like this, it's important to keep accumulating those wins. Who decided to put that there? Is there a minister behind putting these there? These are the things that you need to go towards. And I think a lot of people over the next, I think it's starting now, and I think that's why they're starting to get antsy about a general election. I think they'll probably call in 2024. They did that no confidence theatre there last week, like I said. But I think that they will probably call in 2024 because the mounting pressure on the likes of Roderick O'Gorman is starting to get bigger. They thought they were going to walk all of this stuff in, no bother, like what has been done in America, and it's been yanked out as quick as it has been installed. You've got the Garda Commissioner that's backpedaling to Ben Scallon, one journalist that'll actually ask questions of how many that are out there. He puts an awful lot of them to shame, which is great to see, but they should be ashamed of themselves when they see a guy like Ben Scallon rocking in and asking questions that is pertaining to what the majority of the public think. And these people are like, so Minister, what colour socks do you have on today? This is what these people are doing. You know what I mean? Absolute nonsense. And then you have this here. So it's good to see that. And, fair play. And I think this is becoming a moment in time. This is why you're starting to see Gardaí now turn up to these things. And this is why you see the left absolutely raging, going, the Gardaí are out there now and they're supporting these people, these far-right activists. So what? Okay, so what? Who cares? Nobody cares. And what are you looking to include in this? You want to include that in it? Big yikes for you. What are you up to? Check your hard drive. You should be investigating them, guys. So anyway, if you think that that's going to stop there, this stuff of diversity and inclusion that you're pushing for, lads, is another bad idea, because guess what's going to... You're showing images of lads that are hailing from Africa. Those guys definitely think less about the community than I do. I can assure you that. And not only that, then, religion, the peace. You want to think of what they think about it too, lads. Gardaí carried out a joint agency search and operation in Ballymun. Fantastic, lads. Great stuff. Have you been to Luke O'Neill's yet? Have you been to any of these places? Have you investigated anything there? For example, like Micheál Martin there hanging around with Albert a couple of weeks ago. No. You hang around with a fella that's running a company that has a long history of criminal activity and fraud. No? You didn't look into that, no? No? Okay. Interesting, that one. Bud Light, Nike spark backlash for ads featuring... Now, this Dylan Mulvaney character, and it pains me to say that because that Mulvaney name is probably Irish. I'm looking for this guy now. He's going to go, I'm actually Irish. But this guy is an actor previously, and he has worked on the Book of Mormon, as far as I know. And it just seems like playing another role here. Pure clown world stuff. and to me is just going over the top so much so now that people are starting to recognize it. I think this is what's gotten Americans really, really interested in this. And like I said before, it's another narrative shifter insofar as they're like, oh, worry about what this guy's up to. Kid Rock put out a great video. That's all I'm going to say. Put out a great video on Instagram and of what he thought about this, and specifically Bud Light deciding to support this guy. They put this fella's face on the can. Like, absolutely absurd stuff. But what you can do is you can vote with your wallet. And that's something as well too that I saw Matt Walsh talk about. Matt Walsh was saying, he was like, you know, the right are great, he says, for pointing these things out. He's like, but systematically making these people have financial repercussions for these things is something that they need to get good at doing. And I was like, no, I agree. It's like Sony with this new Spider-Man movie that's coming out, the Spider-Verse, in they promote Boy Large Mansions, and then they promote another wacky thing as well too, in Gwen Stacy's room as well, with a specific flag talking about Doubtfires and kids being Doubtfires. Like, out there stuff, guys, and it's subliminally done too, by the way. So Sony are getting in on the act on there as well, and people have noticed that. Fair play to young Rippy. He's had to put out a video pertaining to that. But this is the sort of nonsense that's been pushed out there in America. Corkman gets social welfare logo tattooed on his face. You know, there's some things that I see and I'm like, it's my generation. Yikes. It's not the majority of them now, I can guarantee you that. This fella looks like he's dying his hair anyway. But what a ridiculous thing to see. Imagine look, there's someone out there that's probably listening to this going, we have a facial tattoo, what are you talking about? To me, it's never, unless you're Mike Tyson, don't do it. Declining arrivals to Ireland with no identifying papers. This is the way they're reporting on this, by the way. It's down 50%. It should be down 100%. 50% is not good enough. Figures for first 2 months of the year show Garda response to problem is working, says Minister for Justice Simon Harris. What response? They're more interested hanging around outside the likes of City West and other places and all that than actually stopping these people and saying, hang on here, have you got documents? No. But back on the plane and back to where you came from. This is stupidity. Listen, it's not stupidity. It's too stupid to be stupid. This is on purpose. And you've got Simon Harris out there that's more interested. Hi there. I'm more interested in putting through the likes of hate speech bills. Absolute bull. Complete bull. If we don't like what you say, well, we're going to have you be investigated by an Garda Síochána. Listen, you thought there was 18 of these things before the 19th one came out. You should be nowhere near the position of health minister nor justice minister. You can't even finish third level education. How did this fella get to where he is? It's mind-boggling. Now, not an awful lot of people take that as a slight as well too. Listen, I know plenty of tradespeople that didn't attend third level or anything like that, and they're way smarter than most of the cabinet. Way smarter. And have way more morals and principles than these people. This is the big thing, by the way. A lot of people say, oh, it's just for money. No, these people have no morals and no principles. They've no honour as well too, which is another important thing to know. Zero honour. Nothing. No integrity, no nothing. Little chameleons, little snake people. Reptiles is what you're dealing with. These individuals that will, like chameleons, like the Vragger fella now, because that's how you know that there's an election coming up. I think we should have debate on that. What? Like, hang on here for a second. 2 weeks ago, you were saying to people, absolutely not. Like, this is going to go ahead. And now it's like, oh, backlash on that one's been big. Whoops. Let's change the tune on that one. So again, another one as well too. Oh, we stopped it by 50%, but that means 50%. That means half are still getting in. That's bad news. That means you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. How are 50% still arriving in? How is that? It's not quelling any sort of problems. And this is what I was talking to you about there as well too. This is a different revenue gets tough from property tax evaders. There's 150,000 people get warned at it. Weird, isn't it, how they've quoted the same number, isn't it? Well, that's just what they do through due diligence and they share an opinion. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it, as a media outlet to share the same opinion, isn't it? You know? This is what I was telling you about as well too earlier on. This fella here on the right is an artist. And this fella here, look at the forehead on this fella. This fella's like Herman Munster over here. And he goes on and like him, but your art is political. I think you'll find all art is political. Now, some of it less so than others and less in your face than others, obviously. But, imagine that. Imagine turning around and being like, your art is too political. This is the nonsense that was being portrayed on Virgin Media last week. Politically motivated against Gardaí. listen, that was actually a glowing endorsement for what they've been up to for the last while. Turning up with face masks on them outside like the City West was not a good idea, and certainly isn't going to be a good idea going forward. The summer months are going to be interesting to see where things go from there. I think the government are well aware of that, by the way. I think they're well aware of the summer months coming up and people protesting outside certain places. That's why you're saying the hotels saying we want to return to be tourist destinations. Meanwhile, there's people going, won't be going there. What are you looking for? €350 a night? I ain't going there. And who else were you harbouring? You're harbouring them there for free. Good luck to you. I'm not going to be paying that. Many people are going to the likes of the continent, they're going to Europe there for a holiday. And they're looking like, it was Roddy Collins there. Hey guys, Roddy Collins here. I'm after being out there. I'm after being out in Barcelona. And Barcelona there. I'm after getting around there for the €150. Bleeding great it was. And then you're looking at him going, he's right. He's after having a ball. You know? Now that's all relative as well too, because the likes of Spain, like their wages and their pensions as well too, are obviously reflective of what you pay for. And if you were coming from Ireland, you're getting more bang for your buck over there. But imagine that. You've got a hotel here in the likes of, there's a Tullamore or somewhere like that, at €350 a night. Nah, you're all right. Good luck to you. Not interested. What were you doing there beforehand? Now, I'm only picking on Tullamore. People would be like, don't be shouting out Tullamore there and saying negative things. But, you know, the point still stands. I know a lot of people, by the way, that feel the same way as me, and they're like, I wouldn't give business to a hotel that had any of these people in them at all, and never again. Nice energy. I like the energy. But yeah, that was played out as well in front of the media. This fella now was funny. I'll have to give him that right. He carried himself. He laughed at this fella and mocked him a number of times. And I have to be honest with you, I was like, well, that was funny. Like, it was a funny watch, you know what I mean? And this fella's just like totally irate. And this fella's a journalist as well too. Look at the head of him. Herman Munster, what? And you've got this fella that's laughing, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever you think, mate. Very funny anyway. But like I said, and again, you got the Irish Times out here that says there must be no slowdown in the drive for electric vehicles at a time of climate crisis. Lads, they're still pushing this nonsense. Where was Eamon Ryan a couple of weeks ago there? We flew to China. Flew over there to China. Could you have done that by Zoom, Eamon? Yeah. Well, obviously you didn't use any facilities when you were in China. What do you mean? You certainly didn't use an iron for that shirt that you're wearing, that Hawaiian Ace Ventura looking shirt that you're wearing now. You didn't use any facilities to iron that shirt out there. Crease and everything there is. I've seen Neil Richmond as well too, just as an aside. He's another fella I just cannot stand the thought. He was one of those goofballs that was out there and was like, you shouldn't be outside your 5 kilometres. There's a fella that attended an Orange Order parade, just as you know, and then was at the rugby, egg chasing. I absolutely despise rugby, I do. But he was at that while telling people, you should be worried about the sniffles and all that. This goof was out there the other day with a photo op of him on the phone and the belly hanging out over the belt. I was like, if ever there was an image to portray how bad politicians are here in Ireland, that would be it. He's standing in the middle of nowhere being like, how's this going to get done? On the phone taking a picture with the big head of him like a cabbage, and then standing there and the gut hanging over the belly. Oh, hanging over the belly, do you hear me? Hanging over the belt. I was just like, listen. And loads of people just laughing at him as well too in the comments. It's good to see. But imagine that they put out a minister they did and replaced him with him. He was the substitution. Here's the thing. That came, I think, ultimately as well too. A lot of people have been talking about them on the ditch, and on the ditch have been referencing some other people that have not been very truthful with some of the stuff that they've done on their applications. So it's all part of the game. It's all part of the game because they're curious about housing and houses and stuff like that. Not a chance. That's out there purposely, and that's to set up the stall for what's coming on down the line as well too, because they want to do it, T for one, T for all, insofar as well. We're going to do this to the ministers, and that's going to happen to people as well too. You own a second holiday home, and that should be full of people from the blue and yellow flag waving country. But hang on here, your man saying he's from Somalia. You're a bigot and a racist for calling that out. So I don't know about you guys, but that's certainly very strange to me. So what you can see here is we've got 161 people listening in. Thanks very much to everybody that's listening in. This is 2:39. I'm just going to jump off now. I'm going to jump into the comments, say hello to people. So if you're here for this evening, thanks very much. Thanks for listening in. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thanks to everybody that supports with the links in the description below of the different platforms that I'm on, and also as well, in particular, the different social media that I'm on. So it's very important that you follow me over there because, again, like I said, you can never be too sure about what's going on in this place. So do make sure you're following me over there. Podcast update as well. Podcast coming next week. So I'm going to do a poll with people and see whether they want the video podcast or whether they want the audio only. So that's just a big one at the moment. I have both ready to go. So just need to do a poll with people and see what they prefer. So I'll keep you updated on that when it comes back. So I'm coming to the podcasting game. Looking forward to it. Obviously, it's going to be a different avenue, and the shows are going to be behind, just to be transparent with you. The shows will be behind the ones that are on YouTube. So I would say podcast is probably going to be released of a Thursday. I'd say that's probably going to be the way I'm going to do things. I'm going to release it of a Thursday before the stream. It's going to be maybe the week before the podcast or whatever like that might be. So we'll see how things go and see how that kind of lines up and how it works from there. So I'm excited about that. What else is going on with the channel? Yeah, the channel's doing good. And I have to say, 3,500 views for last week. Unbelievable stuff. What I'll also say is have a blessed weekend. Look after yourselves. Have a fantastic Easter. Make sure you celebrate it accordingly. And also as well too, the rise of our Lord and Saviour. Very interesting and very important for going forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what Mel Gibson does with this movie that he's doing with the resurrection. That's going to be fascinating, I have to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to that. But a very safe and blessed Easter to you and your loved ones. So we'll jump into the chat here now and we'll see what's happening on now down in the chat. People are talking about having a fish today. Let's keep going here. Johnny Foy of Contra says, greetings to you all. Living the dream, says Ash. Stop. Derek Man is Greedo shot first. I like the edit that George did, you know, when he did the hand moving and then going towards it. He was like, hand with a kind of, you know, hey, he's a hero, so you wouldn't do that. I got out, George. I miss him. Yeah, I miss him terribly, you do, with this latest junk Star Wars, don't you? Nosy Person says, Ninja Night, when is the podcast kicking off? So, yeah, let me know that 8:15. I've just answered your question at 11:15. Yes, Ninja, you're doing a grand job, says Janie. Thanks very much. Tracy O'Hanlon says, took ages to find you on Twitter. Had to make changes in the settings, etc. What type of settings? That's a weird one. I must link the Twitter account to this here. Although I'm obviously very aware of when you link certain things to the YouTube channel. Sometimes I don't like it because obviously, you know, as we've seen recently, I'll just give you an aside. There's a YouTube channel out there called Analog Toys, and he talked about Mattel sending him a contract. And this is a toy company. And they were like, well, you can sign this contract and we'll give you some exclusive stuff, but we'll monitor your social media. And he's like, no. And I was like, that's really weird that they want to monitor your social media. So that's why when you see all these guys, this is why it bugs them out. When you see fellas that are out there and women as well too that shill for certain things, like, oh my God, look at the 30th anniversary of Power Ranger, looks great. Who are they pushing forward? Billy the Blue Ranger? What's going on with him in real life? Oh, that's the way he's been pushed, you know. So anyway, a lot of them out there won't call that sort of stuff out, but I will. And Analog Toys is another place that when he's like, thought this was ridiculous, and he's right. Janie says, Derek and Philip have a good following to be okay. People will vote for people for the people. 100%, absolutely. Frank Barron says maybe the move to Rumble is required to show up this place. They took out Computers Forever Dave Cullen in 2020. Yeah, I know Dave is back with the Dave Cullen show. Toby says Ninja Night Raw Boys taking a stand. I think that was your video there earlier on. I was referencing to Toby. This was amazing stuff that I saw there with the Sinn Féin politician. Laura Toss says Derek McManus, Leon Curtis, Ninja Night. Happy Easter weekend. Happy Easter weekend to you too. Clep Bolden says Ninja Night. Good and Holy Friday today. Easter Sunday, resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Have a beautiful weekend with family. Amen. Absolutely, 100%. Let's keep going here now as well too. Grim Sense of 5. You need to, I think I said that earlier on, you need to say something. I just feel terrible. People are like, oh, there you go. Grim says, grew up hail. As I say, great to see you. Let's keep going. I got a red pocket with them as well, so I'm going to see how that goes. We've got one there, Red Dawn Radio, was interested in doing. The chat now was after going funny. Just give me a second. Yeah, there we go. It's back now. I don't know what went on there. Fernando Murcu says, hello there. That always reminds me of what was his name? Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love that. Occident Advocate says, how much is a pint of cider in Ireland? It ranges between £2.20 and £5 a pint on time. It depends which bars. That's outrageous, man. That's absolutely outrageous. Rogue Kelly says, seems like 46 is the new life expectancy. Listen, it's going to be dragged. It's going to be way dragged down now over the next few years. When you start seeing that go back from 80 odd now to the likes of 70 odd, you got to start asking questions. And of course, they'll be all like, it's actually because of people's diet. You know? It's actually because you're not eating correctly and you're consuming too much sugar and you're driving everywhere. Sure, you have a point when it comes to these things. Sheepdog's in here says, good evening, everyone. Sure, you have a point when it comes to that. However, a lot more people are interested in fitness now than ever before, and I disagree that this suddenly stuff is just something that just popped up because people are enjoying a couple of different beverages that are sugary. Totally disagree. Occident Advocate is well awake to what's going on with the TV and the movies, for sure. Irish Red says Ninja Knight was 6 gazillion. 6 gazillion, yeah. 6 billion, they're saying now. Oh, stop. I'll just keep going through the chat here. Yeah, I was watching, just as I'm going here as well too, been watching a couple of different things. As I said earlier on, that new Mandalorian, bad. They've announced now that they are doing more movies with Ray. Yikes, big yikes. Dave Filoni's going to be director though. He's part of the problem, lads. Irish Reds Ninja Knight, Chester Bennington was someone's stepson and Chris Cornell's best friend. Yeah, and listen, I'll be honest with you, the Chester Bennington thing, like celebrity things don't hit me at all. They really don't. An awful lot of them. Like, I'm a Batman fan. Kevin Conroy was someone that voiced Batman. And when that happened, I just had to have a little trial through Twitter and I was like, I can see what was going on there. But Chester Bennington was one that hit hard, and Chris Cornell was another one that hit hard because it was just like, that came out of nowhere. But those guys particularly seemed like they were coming together to produce a specific documentary. And I don't know about you, but Paul Walker also was allegedly involved with them there too. Now, I don't know about you, but when you see some of the stuff that was said by Kanye recently, I'm like, well, that seems very familiar, and he talks about people, Michael Jordan and stuff like that, and he's like, I'm just saying, not people, and I'm in full agreement. Derek McManus says, I have a great story about Russell Crowe when he was filming Gladiator. Let us know. Russell Crowe was, I really like him as an actor, obviously. I think a lot of his movies are fantastic. Not the critical drinker I was talking about, Master and Commander with him as well. I must look at that movie. I've never seen it. I hear it's brilliant though. But Russell Crowe was saying that he was saying, oh yeah, they brought out Pirates of the Caribbean before, and he was like, so no one took it serious. He was like, that was it. He says, another movie on the boat, he says, people were thinking they were going to go for laughs. And he's like, and that was completely the opposite. The Dub says, Ninja, do you think these so-called asylum seekers, migrants, could be paid, hired, brought here to police the Irish population for when this? Yeah. Absolutely, I fully believe that. Yeah, I do think so. A lot of them are arriving with certain haircuts and stuff like that as well too, and certain paraphernalia, shall we say, and certain clobber. Like, there's your man there last week that came from Philip's video, eye opener. Foreign guy wearing a Union Jack on the short and or on the hoodie. And of course, you had the left coming out and like, I have a pair of Reeboks that has a Union Jack on it. Yeah, but this guy called someone pretty quickly, was guarding the front of the place, and these fellas came out of nowhere and then were abusing Philip. You know what I mean? So it all is linking in, but you need someone in the army to come out and start talking about what's going on. Marty Shannon says, Man United fan, myself, member as well. Thanks very much, man. Leon Cordes says, if you have a question, please put it in United and get notified. But do you know what the funny thing is? I actually don't. The way I look at it here as well, and this, it just doesn't get to me. It doesn't the way I would like it to do. Like, I would love to have like a separate bar where it's just like I can go through it and I'm like, okay, this makes the chat a lot easier. But in saying that as well, I like to go back as well. Point Man says, late to the party, folks, but better late than never. Happy Good Friday, folks. Derek Man says, plastic free packaging was always a load of balls. Yeah, absolutely. Total nonsense. Yeah, it was just a bad idea. Kevin Bridges is better than Frankie Boyle at least. Yeah, Frankie Boyle kind of fell off as well. He did recently, you know. Marty Shannon in here says, I've stopped the kids watching Disney movies with all the propaganda in the movies. Yeah, no, I'd fully agree with you on that one as well, too. There was another one as well recently where they were allegedly putting symbols in some of the recent Lion King stuff, and people were like, this, uh, this symbol is linked into something, and the Disney crowd were like, no, no. People are like, but there's the symbol. They're like, no. But that's the best thing about Twitter, because people are just on it, and online in general. They're like, hey, look at this. Triple H says, Ninja Knight, your dad sounds like a wise man, isn't it? Dennis Carney's in here as well. Things, Dennis. Hope all is well. He says, even all, hope everyone's keeping good. Let's keep going on through the chat there. Dog says, Ninja Knight, I said to Puke O'Neill as I just met him and said the same. You'll all be held to account. Hopefully so. And that's the thing. That's why you need to attain and get seats. Very important. Orchestrated says, Ninja, I mean, here's the thing. You're a base patriot out there. Apply to the Gardaí. That's what I'd say. Why not? Because it'd be better you being in the uniform than some of these people. You know? That's just how I feel. And I think a lot of people would feel the same as well too there. Armchair Limerick National Stands 10 says, hey Ninja Knight, what do you think the state are up to making these migrant guards? I think they're up to very shady things, and I think the plan is coming into motion now big time, and I think it's been very evident as to where they want to go with this. I mean, they are very clear about wanting to replace the Irish people, and this is at the behest of people that are above them. I mean, we've administrators as such as governments now. I mean, remember not too long ago, they went back to Europe and said, hey, guys, we need to sort out this fuel stuff here in Ireland, and the European Union went, no, you won't do that. And the Ireland's came back, Leo Varadkar, Indian Leo Varadkar, came back and said, guys, like, nothing we can do. Poland went over and said, we're doing this, and they said, no, you can't do that, and Poland went, up yours, and they did what they were doing anyway. You know what I mean? So it just goes to show you. Irish Red says, Ninja Knight Claiborne is out of selling her shed and moved to a TARDIS. That's a Doctor Who reference there for anyone that doesn't know. I'm sure there's plenty of people in here that are Doctor Who fans, and they're like, yeah, we knew what that was. Some people aren't. So let's keep going here now through the chat. But yeah, like I said earlier on, if you got to see any movie, go and see John Wick Chapter 4. You know, brilliant movie. Totally enjoyable. Total palate cleanser. Like Top Gun Maverick. Total palate cleanser. Just so enjoyable from start to finish. And you know what you're getting. Jason Irish Red says, Ninja Knight, that meme is hilarious, but at the same time, that's what is becoming. It's not laughing matter. But it is that, you know, like that's the thing. It's going to become reality of the situation, you know. And you've got some interesting stuff coming down the line for sure. You know. See what else has been said here. Yeah, a lot of people talking about voting there as well too, you know, and I think that's important. A lot of people feel despondent towards it, but I think that there's a lot of people out there that are working with the other side, and I mean that's what happened in France. If you want to look at it that way, the French, their protest vote was not the vote at all. It didn't work. They got Macron. You know what I mean? So this idea of like I'm not going to vote at all, bad idea. Sheepdog, we're all just global citizens according to the Hobbit and the Up There Ross. Ninja Knights is all says Sheepdog. Oh, hey, says Ninja Knight, young working class 18 to 25 are less likely to be registered to vote. We have to check with sons, daughters, nephews, etc. encourage to register. Absolutely, for sure. Absolutely, 100%. Very important. Idea of Earth, the GPO is postponed till next week. Are you going, Mullingar, tomorrow? Says Leanne. Von Malone says, the moon good. Diversity for everyone. Take away your property rights and your rights to privacy. Ninja Knight says, Von Malone. That's their plan. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, look, the last couple of days, last couple of days of the media and last couple of years of what they've been up to have advocated for that. I mean, where would you have had it beforehand where people are happy to go and show QR code of them taking something that inevitably didn't work and ultimately didn't work? Didn't stop you from getting it, didn't stop you from passing on, didn't stop you from, you know, combating it really at all from what we see. So ridiculous stuff. And that's how they just test the waters with people. People will be buying into that. No, because that to me showed an awful lot when people didn't go to the pub. And there's a lot of people out there that agreed with it. And there's a lot of people out there that didn't agree with it, and people went, and others didn't, and so these places lost business, and then they had to go back and say, "Here, hang on, we're not happy with this." Rocket sends €2 super sticker. Thanks very much. Let's keep going here as well. Billy the Kid says, "Howdy, y'all. Good to see you in here." Love that movie as well too. What's that one called? Tombstone. I'll be a huckleberry. So Dirk Soldier says, if you step forward on Irish soil, you will have a constitutional right to a house. It's communism on scale that will reduce us all to slavery. It's the idea. Great stuff you're doing as well too, lately as well too. Dirk Soldier, love the videos that are coming out. Topic says you're spot on about the common good crap, Ninja. Thanks very much. The common good thing is something that bugs the life out of me. Dirk Soldier says this is a referendum on CW, not private property. A lot of people feel that the property thing, along with the kids thing, is the last straw for a lot of individuals, you know? It really is. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of people be ushered into the place hand over fist, because a lot of people are very unhappy about that. Like, I saw some very out there stuff on Twitter when this stuff became public knowledge, and they were like, yo, what? Instead of taking that, what I would say is that they get in touch with the politicians that are pushing it, you know? Because these people ultimately need votes to have any sort of support. And I would say a lot of them are organising public meetings, which is open to the public, as you know. And I would say, go to these things and share your opinion. And importantly as well, too, obviously, I'd always say that, you know, it's important now to record these things, particularly in a public setting. Jason Irish Red says, Ninja Knight, I seriously believe that the IDF are responsible for Philip being removed from YouTube because their awful treatment was exposed. Who knows? Who knows? That's what I was saying. But we need to see what's going on there. I'm sure Philip will come out with something or will post something somewhere. I think is an important thing to do to let people know. Crep Boland says, I'm in for mod if you want. Did I actually win? Yeah, I must do. Let's keep going here now. A lot of people talking about the forum and stuff like that. Fair play to you guys. Keep going here. Yeah, a lot of people ain't interested in the likes of state. A lot of people saying Viva la France as well too. French are still out there. French are doing brilliant stuff there. They're out on the streets. And that's a very important thing to note as well. A lot of people looking at that and they're saying, how come the French are out there and they're protesting now for weeks on end? And they supposedly voted that guy in. Yeah. Jason Irish Red says, Ninja Knight, for once, Liverpool fan will agree with a Manchester United fan. Still Soldiers and Fortress to Africa too. Deep Dog is unhappy with following English football. It's like cutting your neighbour's grass and leaving your own grow up. Come here. Have you seen some of the stuff that the local League of Ireland teams have been supporting? None of them. It's just none of them were worth supporting, man. Honestly. They're not interested in they're not interested in this whole situation of preventing any sort of problems with Ireland at all. These League of Ireland clubs, they really are. They're pushing it on. And the same with the likes of the JA. JA is starting to fall big time as well. Keep going here now. And some people saying some interesting stuff in the chat there. Row Kelly says 176 views, 140 likes. Good stuff, Ninja. Thanks very much. There's a lot of people that watch in on TVs and stuff like that or their appliances and obviously can't hit the like button. So I understand that. But the Supermax is €26 for two. Mad money. Cheaper to eat at home. Yeah, and that's where it's gone. A lot of people are thinking like that as well. They're like, okay, we're just going to eat at home now. I've had enough of this. LGX says America has 3 years left at best. I think America is really interesting to see where that's going to go. I really do, because what happened in the last couple of weeks about them threatening this arrest again, like they've been doing it for the last few years, and Salty always says, he's like, oh, they're going to get him this time, you know, taking the mick out of him. But if they did it, bad news. But like I said beforehand, I think the fact that America's in states is important and has been important. I mean, like look at Florida, look at the likes of Texas as well too. They've been good places for people to go to. But overall, I think this stuff being pushed heavily is not a good idea. 3 years left is probably a good way to look at things, because if the other places decide to side together, it's game set and match for them. Gavin Pep says, "How's you, pal? You're doing super work. The petrodollar is history. Good to see you in here, Gav. Great to see you doing an interview as well too with Gript. It was very nice to see that." And Gavin was saying as well on Twitter that RTE were looking for people to interview. I think it's important, and this is the thing now. I think people are starting to look at this and starting to go, "I'm not going to give RTE the viewership, and I'm not going to speak to them. Give Gript the viewership." That's what I'd say. Give them the viewership and give them the interview, because it makes the traffic go that way. Now, like I said before, and I keep saying it, you need a money man now at this stage to be setting up a major operation to be in opposition to RTE and Virgin Media. That's what needs to be done. You need a major operation. Ron Reedy says, "Ninja Knight, the dollar is going to be worthless." Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, it's going that way. All by design, though. All by design. Jason Irish Red, ridiculous stuff that you're saying there, mate. Honestly, I appreciate it. Sends it too. It says, "Embarrassingly small again. I'm really sorry. Don't be sorry at all. I highly appreciate that. Thanks very much. And thanks for even being in here. That's what I appreciate, man." Marty Shannon says, "Holy moly. I've been buying silver and gold since 2008. Banking crash. The dollar is gone." That's an important thing that you've been talking about. I've seen that they've been speaking about that gold, and particularly Gerald Tenente. He's been talking about it a lot, and so it's Saudi. They're like, "I'm buying that big time." They're saying. So look, I'm not giving out financial advice here or anything like that, but why do you think that the gold standard they took that away? Because obviously, as well, too, people could look back on that. They're all in on this. They're all in on this cashless stuff. They want to go that way. Bitcoin on that works with them. Look at UFC. Like, I like UFC. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan. But when you see fellas walking out in walkout gears with Bitcoin written on them, like, they're parts of the game too, you know. And there's there's a group as well too that are involved in all sorts. You know what I mean? Like, I like the UFC, like I said beforehand, but when you stick Bitcoin in front of that and then you're selling NFTs, not good. That is definitely not good. CSC says, "Yes, Ninja, they took the hush money. Didn't forget either money before locals." OH says, "Ninja Knight, the blue and yellow flag waving country will be where the Google and TikTok in Ireland move to. Lots of blue and yellow flag waving people are in the tech sector and getting jobs here now." But I don't think that tech sector stuff is going to last for too much longer. I think it's going to start coming down. You know? G Rose 22 says, "My friend left pets and more told me all the new requirements are going to make it pointless along with hair salon. They don't want hair dryers and bleach anymore." Yikes! That's what they make their money on, is it not? You know, you get always hear about women going in and getting their hair done. Particularly, I'm going in for a wash and a blow dry. What are they going to go in for now? A lot of them will do it at home now, and that's the thing. You know. Human Day says, "I was laughed out of it when I spoke about this years ago. Said you won't be laughing when a squad car full of African and religion of peace guards stops you on a quiet country road some dark night." Yeah, that's where it's going, lads. Drew Harass all coming together, says Sheepdog. What's his pronoun? And tonight Bosco said best. Am I? Oh yeah. Let's keep going here now. Try to chance out what's going on. A lot of people talking to each other. It's great to see. Great to see so many people talk about this. Let's have a look here. Marty Shannon says only Irish citizens should be policing Irish citizens. Absolutely, and it's the same. We feel the same with everybody else as well. If I'm in Turkey, like, it's fully, logical for it to be Turkish people that are police. You know what I mean? Like, to see this sort of nonsense of, "Oh yeah, guys, guess what we should do? We should actually have other people do it." Like, you'd be laughed out of places, honestly, and rightfully so. Keep going here. Bianca says, "Ninja Knight, I'd like to give another shout out to the men of Air. That public order unit got in your face, and I was able for them, but Irish men were behind me." Absolutely great to see that people are behind you, 100%, Leon. It's shocking to see that there's people in uniform that are our own people. I mean, this is the thing. You don't expect much from these people landing into the place. You know, your I would say your standards and your opinions are probably very low. But when you see your own person and own people do it, that's like, just again, like I said, when you see that fella there last week from that video, like that really bugged me. It's like that really irritates me because you think that these guys as well too would have been hanging on to Cromwell as well. Refusing exchange says Ninja Knight. I caught my local butcher out a tree. Went to buy a bit of beef. The product said butchered in Waterford. I live in Cork, so the price was way too much. Hmm. It came from Waterford. Yeah. Okay. All right. I got that now there. Yeah. You're looking at that there. Janie says yes, Ninja. Good to see you here. Billy the Kid says my parents had went to Japan, so that I was born and reared there. I still wouldn't be Japanese. I'd expect to get asked all the time where I'm from. Absolutely. I mean, that's what the whole everyone's seen the movie Tokyo Drift. You know what I mean? You're like, that's how it is. Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. You know, so what? Fergus Power says, Ninja Knight, good night and God bless you all, you beautiful patriots. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you all Monday. Celebrate our heritage culture. Israel Adesanya, he's going with tomorrow. Interesting show. Did you see Holly Holm? Holly Holm has said some very interesting things. And this is what I'm saying to you, like the micro pig, that's what Moscow Flyer, yeah, micro pig, ridiculous stuff that I was talking about earlier on. Yeah, Holly Holm has been using that as well too to talk about what's going on. It's nice to see. That other guy as well too, what's his name? Bryce Mitchell. He said some good stuff as well too. So it's great to see more of them coming out. The UFC seems to promote a lot of them that are saying rational things. Like McGregor there last week, they were like, what would you do to fix the situation in America with what happened with the schools? And he's like, do what Ninja said. No, he didn't say that. What he said was, they should have people as guards at the schools, 100%. I don't know. Maybe Connor's listening in. I don't know. But anyway, it's definitely what a lot of normal people think, which is like, sure, you're guarding the likes of banks there with inanimate objects. Why wouldn't you guard the kids? Especially when this thing is a thing. Oh, if you just take them all away from people, it's going to stop it. No, it won't. No, it won't. I mean, Ireland is a very good, I suppose, barometer and measuring stick of where it would go. Like, you've got this country that has people with uniforms on them that have boomsticks, and then it has people without uniforms that are up to no good to have them. The average citizen doesn't, unless you're using it for hunting or whatever like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's totally at odds on what you're going to do. I'm just calling the Gardaí. So most of them are too afraid to turn up here. And here's the thing: that have been caught out now in the last while, deciding to decline calls out to places. I mean, these are things that they're reporting in the media. Marty Shan says, Ninja like an elephant, he never forgets. I try. I suppose that's sometimes part of my problem. You know, don't forget things. You know. A lot of people are asking for Ben Scanlon to ask about certain things as well too that have been promoted in certain books, and they want them to ask Leo. That's an interesting one. Absolutely. Here. Kid Rock. A lot of people like Kid Rock. Kid Rock's doing some interesting stuff lately. Yeah, Quarter says Ninja Night doing impressions. Wow, makes me laugh. Good man. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. I do try. Do my best here, I do. Barva 101 Force is taking the pistachio out of us all. Want us to worship them like they walk in water. No, never. If you've ever seen the show, and it's something I keep telling people as well about American Gods, have a look into that show. And it shows you, just interestingly enough, I like those type of abstract shows. Ian McShane's and I really like him as an actor. But it shows you, like, say, like the old gods and gods in different places and stuff like that. And then it shows you the new ones. And the new ones are the likes of the media. And it's super interesting how they're handled. And these new media ones want to make sure that the other ones are no longer going to have any sort of beliefs in them or anything like that. Gillian Anderson plays one of them. I think she plays TV. I'm pretty sure she plays TV. And like how chameleon like she is as well just shows you. And the different types of generations that she checks herself into. Like she does one, I think, in 1940s one, like does the American accent spot on. And then like she's then more of a modern sort of very well put together. She's an outstanding actress as well. Anyway, but the thing is, it really highlights how these things are being pushed, and just I think it's an interesting show. It's a show that didn't get pushed an awful lot, but to me, it was like, wow, like they're actually pointing this stuff out. Anyway, Refusic, Sean says, Ninja Knight notice Cleo stutters the more he lies. The big one for me is how someone can go, and say so much. I tried to not say as much as possible. Obviously, I'll say it here and there. But when you're talking about, a 2 to 3 minute clip of someone and 50% of it nearly is, I'm like, what's the story with that? Derek McManus says, a big gut is mandatory at an Orange Order parade, but you have to admit the songs have a hell of a beat. Oh, stop. I know people that, hand on heart would tell you, I'm going over to the Celtic and Rangers game I am, and, it's great atmosphere, and you up the Celtic and like that, and I'm like, okay, so do you reckon the atmosphere is good there? Oh, yeah. And what do you think of Rangers? Don't like, and now they'd use more descriptive words, I would say, than I don't like them. But I'm like, okay, what about your own country? What do you reckon about these people floating around? And they're like looking at you, and you're saying to them, like, really, when it comes down to it? I never bought in to the Celtic and Rangers thing. I really didn't. Never cared. Again, Scotland, not my country, but never cared. And ultimately, as well, too, Catholics and Protestants. You've way bigger fish to fry here now. Like, it's way bigger issues that are coming in here now. Because if you think that the Protestants don't like Gettr and intolerance, wait until you see the other gangs that are coming into place. Look at what's going on in Nigeria, you know what I mean? All you have to do is look at the way that they treat Christians. And that's Christians as a whole, by the way. That's not just Catholics. Bigger Soldier says, great show again, Ninja Knight. That was 10:42. So I've gone through the chat quicker than I anticipated. That's good. Great to see that. Ninja Knight, lovely long one tonight. 3 hours, yeah. I didn't intend to go that long. I didn't think we would anyway. I thought it would be a 2-hour jobby. Jerome Reedy says, Ninja Knight, I'll chat during the week. Cheers. Good to see you, man. Thanks very much. Much appreciated. Jan Cordy says, Ihawa agus a cola sav, Ninja Knight, my dear Corda, agus Gurev Mila Magov. Happy, blessed Easter to you all. We'll see some of you over the next few days. Erin Gabra. Thanks and Scholars in here. Another great channel. Brilliant show. We only found this show thanks to Chairman Chew. He punted over the hazelnut. Oh, stop. And on the missing list as well, too, recently. Chrome says, is this new Power Ranger thing meant to be an independent story? I thought Rita Repulsa became good and changed to the Mystic Mother and Mystic Force. If she's evil again, then that contradicts things. Yeah, you're right. 100% right. That's what I said. I actually said that when that came out. I think I said it on Twitter. I was like, hang on here for a second. How is that person now back to being bad? Oh, it's a robot version of it. Why did you not just create a new villain? Like, this is what you have now. You have a creatively bankrupt situation in Hollywood where you have a guy, I think this guy is called Jonathan Entwistle, has been brought in amongst other goofs that have come in now to Netflix to make a series, and their big pitch was, let's bring Rita back, guys. What? Why don't you bring Ivan Ills back at that case? He was a better villain. He's a much better villain. He got things done. Or create a new one. Again, you're creatively bankrupt. I'm looking forward in a way to this new Star Wars stuff because it's going to be hilarious. They've no creativity, and as for what they've done to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, very similar to what they're going to do with Power Rangers. Like, the fact that my favorite Rangers are not involved in this 30th anniversary pleases me. People are like, "Oh, that's shocking you, that one," and I was like, "No, listen. I think it's a good idea when you don't see Jason and Tommy and Kimberly in there. I am happy with that. Their legacies are what they are, and they're not being messed with. They're going to trifle with things over here. I'm telling you now what they're going to do with this 30th anniversary special. This is Power Ranger talk. Some people will be like, this is ridiculous. But what they're going to do is they're going to set up a new generation. The Red Ranger will probably be a female going forward. You'll probably have a prominent member as well too of the Ranger team that's probably going to be, liking the same people as themselves, you know what I mean? And you're going to have no white male hero. That's where you're going forward. I'm telling you. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Power Rangers gone through 3 seasons, I think, now with no white male hero. But Ninja Knight, they brought in Jason. They brought in some other white male Red Rangers. Yeah, okay. But they don't have any on the team for this season, you know? And now what they've gone and done is for the next season, they've made a female the Red Ranger. Okay, well, we'll see how that one goes. That doesn't bode well for the team. Sheepdog says, Ninja Knight, can you remove that stupid star beside my handle? I'm all for I don't know what you're talking about there now, man. I don't think so. I don't think I can. I'm not sure how to do that. Not sure how to do that at all. Frank Barnes has never did, but I'd like to make it from scratch rather than using the homebrew kit. A lot of people like that, the homebrew kit stuff. Fernando Murray says Alec Guinness was a very good actor. He was in a film where he was a crime boss, a 60s film. We'll check that out. I like him. I thought his response to the Star Wars questions at the time were interesting, and I think that's where some people get their sort of feelings towards Star Wars. He's like, I got fan mail and I didn't open it, and it's like, that's a bit of a weird thing to say, but okay, fair enough. But you see an attitude now from people that are working at Disney, and they're like, we actively don't like you as fans. Okay. Sean Mack says, I told you last year my cousin passed at 33, found gone in his bed the morning Dylan Quigg Tipperary went in the pitch that afternoon. Ruled a sudden, man. Unbelievable stuff that is. And not an awful lot of people. A lot of people putting their head in the sand hoping that doesn't happen to them. Bennington Scottish says, learn Irish and refuse to speak to the guards at Smyrna. They'll do away with that requirement, I'm sure, at some stage as well. Guaranteeing you. They'll try that. But good idea there. Tracy O'Hanlon says, yeah, Ninja, I was putting your Twitter handle improperly, now sign you. Then I had to go to settings and remove sensitive content, and then only then I could find you. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I saw an uptick in Twitter followers when I came back, over thousands now at this stage. But even the tweets, like some I'll put out and I'll get some likes on some of them, and others then I'll do good numbers. But I would say there's probably an old finger pointed at me and it's like, don't boost this fella too much. I'd say after getting over 250,000 views talking about Doubtfires in the Transformers community, they were like, yeah, see this fella over here, he's causing too much hassle. Pointing this out. You know. Andrew says, imagine if Mike Collins stayed in the army up until now, the Doherty would have them. Yeah. Absolutely. Have a look. Keep going here now as well too. A lot of people talking about different YouTubers. Big fans of Dave as well too here, it's good to say. Yeah, a lot of people talking about the new person run this platform. And yeah, like the new boss going to be as bad as the old boss, you know? They're just going to get ramped up. And a lot of people astutely point out that the new boss is, should just say, of the same origin of some of the biggest problem causers that were formerly at Twitter, and share similar attributes to the fella running Scotland, England, and Ireland, you know? So make it that what you will. But like that, these people come from countries or the caste system and all that. It's happy days to them. They think it's great. You know, they think there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. Marty Shannon says, salty Irish Army here. Good to see you here. That's great. That's absolutely cool. Should be on Red Dawn Radios out there reaching out, so I'm not sure what platform he's going on, but be over there chatting to him at some stage. Esther McDonald says, Salty Army, I'm sure I've seen you on the other chat, Salty. I think I know why you use that name, American Cheats. Cheats are American Chats. I wonder what that is. There's another video as well too that came out there from East Wall. Obviously not shown here in the stream, but yikes, guys. People are vindicated there big time. And that video doing record numbers around the place. Sheepdog says, best show in town is Ninja Night on a Friday night. Great to see RT trying to figure out what way the windy, woke mind blows. This self-assertion, insertion collapses a joy to behold. Like Macadizes, I'm loving it. Yeah, well, it's bad times for RTE, you know. Aaron Bourne says, Ninja Sheepdog, thanks for letting us Americans know about Ninja Nights. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you indeed. Manuel Godson says, Ninja Night, we love you, Ninja. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication to keep us entertained. Yay, kittens. Thanks very much, man. Jerome Reedy says, Ninja Night Power Ranger now non-binary. The jokes write themselves. That was so funny. Yeah. I know, man. Like, the Transformer stuff is going woke. Like, Hasbro are a huge problem. Like, they gather these properties like Thanos collected Infinity Stones and they've just ruined them all. Like, they've ruined Transformers, which is their own thing. G.I. Joe, they don't know what to do with. They can't push that in any sort of good way at all. They ruined Snake Eyes, and they've decided now to do the same with Dungeons and Dragons. I think they own Dungeons and Dragons, and they were like, Okay, so we're making Chris Pine's male character. We're gonna make him be emasculated throughout the movie. Great. I won't be going to see that. So, won't be going to see that one. Sexual Shreds, Ninja Knight, or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles going to be non-binary, gender neutral too. Well, I'll tell you what's happened with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, I think as Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird have come together, they've done the story The Last Ronin. Now, anytime you see a dystopian future setting for these characters, you know what's coming next. And of course, the dollar bills rolling in for the lads. The Last Ronin is a great story. Let's make no bones about that. It's a great story, and it's where it should have ended. However, what they've decided to do is they've decided to make the new Splinter a female woman, who is the daughter of Casey Jones and April O'Neil, as far as I know. They've also decided to introduce 4 new turtles, and 2 of them are female and 2 male. So, like I said, they decided to revise that. The old turtles, not needed anymore. They're all gone. The 4 males that you grew up and you loved, gone. And we're going to replace them now with 50% female turtles and 50% male turtles. One is a super arrogant turtle, and the other male turtle then is a humongous foodie. Do you ever hear those people? I'm actually a foodie. What do you mean you're a foodie? We all need food to consume to make sure that we keep on living. You're talking about a foodie. Ridiculous. But yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is on the way out as well too. And Curtis likes Salty as well. Good to see you here. And don't know about Salty. Salty's very funny. Marty Shannon sends 10. It says, love the show. So glad to have found a community and channel. Thank you all. Thank you very much. So appreciate it. Thank you indeed. Right, guys, we're at 3 hours 21. Like I said, have a blessed weekend. Look after yourselves. Good luck.